Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Pick a Side podcast. My name is Joel Moran and I'm here with River Brown, Angel Velez, and Joe Dehls. And this is now episode 466. Now in this episode, we are going to talk about NFL free agency, winners and losers, our biggest takeaways, some hot takes we might have from the free agency period, and then we got some NBA stuff, stock up, stock down, which players have rose their stock this season, which player stock is falling this season. How you guys doing?
I'm doing well. Monday, went to the Nets-Lakers game. Had a chance.
Tell us about that.
It was terrible. I spoke about this a little bit now that I remember we were here yesterday. No, it was terrible. It really upset me. Luka Doncic was mid. He was complaining nonstop. Austin Reeves was terrible. He wasn't mid. He was terrible. There was a difference. And we lost to the Brooklyn Nets.
Did you go with Al?
I went by myself. I had a chance to decline going by myself to the Nets game, instead going to Monday Night Raw, where Roman Reigns appeared. I sold, needless to say. It sucked.
You had a chance to acknowledge the tribal chief.
I had a chance to acknowledge.
I've done it before in my life. Oh, for sure. SmackDown, he came. My finger was raised when he came out, and it was raised for a while. You know, when a dude like that comes by, you got to just give him that ultimate respect and praise.
He's talking. He's talking.
Yep.
But it should be a good show. I'm excited to talk about some stock up, stock down. Excited to talk about some winners and losers of free agency because I wasn't here when you guys did that initially on Bleacher Report. How was that?
Did we upload both parts?
We didn't upload both parts. No.
It was just one part, right?
It was just one part of
that's
it.
what I thought.
It was two parts?
There was two parts. There was the first
2
hour,
hours.
there was the second hour.
Yeah.
The first hour was a lot of filler because the first 30 minutes was us basically talking about teams that haven't made a move.
And they ended up making a move.
Yes.
I feel you.
So a lot of it was filler. It was outdated. This is our first official podcast drop-in together about the free agency period. We haven't sat down and talked about it just yet, but a lot of moves happened, and I'm excited, man. The NFL season, it went
It never
fast,
sleeps, though.
but it's always active. Yeah, right now it's active. After the draft, it will definitely get
That May,
very
June, say
mellow.
goodnight.
Yeah, you're not hearing
Basically
anything.
nothing.
There's
You
nothing.
get some like OTAs early, right? And then when like the rookies going like late May, you get little highlights here and there, but that's it.
Yeah, you start watching like some special teamers, and maybe they make an impact. Like it gets dry.
That's when you throw on the top 100 plays of the 2024 NFL season.
yeah, that's where you start making the lists. Top 10 quarterbacks
He's
in
cooking.
the NFL.
Those lists
top
always
10
bang.
running
Where's
backs
Justin Fields in the
NFL?
top 100 players?
Oh, come on, be serious, brother.
Top 100 players?
He might not be
Top 200.
I don't know, brother. I don't know if
He's
he's on that
definitely not
list.
top 100.
He's not like 142.
Dude, I
No,
don't
he
know.
fake might not be. Damn, he fake might not be.
Dude, he might not be top 200.
Damn.
Who was number 100 last year?
Yeah,
Or
find that out.
better question, who's the worst quarterback that's on it?
I
know
think Trevor
Fields
Lawrence
is-
last year was like one of the lowest.
Fields has been on it before.
Yeah, when the year before
year he rushed
that
for a
last
band.
year, that
Yeah,
one.
he's
That's-
been on it.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah, he's been on.
he's
it
a better
for sure.
passer now than he was then. That's for sure.
But is he
Damn
as
sure.
good of a rusher as he was back
He
then?
might
I definitely think he is.
I don't know.
There's no reason he should have fallen
Stop.
off. He's
Yeah,
like
low-key
26.
To be
Yeah.
fair, that next year with the Bears, he did not run as much.
Yeah.
They didn't let him run his, but they made him pass more.
I feel like part of it is on Fields wanting to show that he could throw the ball too.
Who does he think he
You
is,
know?
Lamar?
He's got to get there somehow.
He's not.
Gonna find out this year, baby.
Hey, man, I'm rooting for it. I told you. My qualms with the Jets, they're in 2024. In 2025, I'm here.
Here we go.
Could he be better than Kyler Murray?
No.
That would be insane.
If
mean,
he's
we
better
went-
than
you went too
K1,
far
he's a
to-
top 11,
Yeah,
12.
You,
that would
you
be
went to
insane.
Lamar. I just dropped down to Kyler.
No, I'm saying, like, who does he think he is? People are saying Lamar can't throw because he was obviously a running quarterback, and then he blossomed into
That's
one
what
of
I'm
the-
Realistically,
Misheard.
Rip, if he could be what Bo Nix was last year, I would love that.
Oh, I respect the shit.
I would
one of the
love
best
that.
rookie
But
seasons ever.
there's no being here for the Jets this year. This is a wash season. It's a rebuilding season. That's all it is.
Hey, man, I thought it was a wash season for the Broncos. We went to
Yeah.
the playoffs.
The
No, it
NFL
might
could be
be.
weird, man. The
It can
NFL could be
It
weird.
Can be.
It could just be weird.
Most definitely. So
But
Sometimes
maybe
you
you're
have-
on
you have
holiday.
a you have a great track record if you bet against the Jets, though. To be fair, you know what
Yeah.
I mean. So if
I mean,
you're just
last
going
year I
off
was
the
gonna
bat-
bet against them, but then you kind of lured me in.
Oh, that was me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You influenced my decision a
My
lot.
bad,
actually.
bro. My bad.
Yes. You were overhyping them, and I was telling you to calm down, and then I eventually joined
Caved.
you. I joined you.
I don't remember.
But this year
I
I'm
don't remember
not
that's how
doing
it
it.
happened. I don't want. I want to see the new culture. It's a new vibe. It's a new team.
Aaron Glenn, there's a lot of new things to be excited about.
Sauce Gardner being back to one of them ones.
Hopefully,
Never fell off. Can we dead this narrative that Sauce was bad last year?
he wasn't
But
elite.
one of them ones? He wasn't one of them ones.
He was a top 10 corner last year.
He was. I think.
like 9.
7.
I think
I won't argue 2 spots.
I think people underrate Sauce, but he
Agreed.
needs to get back to his elite play. I mean, first 2 years he was an All-Pro first teamer. I mean that's historic company. Only the greats do that. The all-time greats do that. So he can be that.
He was on pace for an all-time great trajectory.
And him falling off is him being a borderline top 5 corner, Rafe.
I still declined.
You keep going and climbing up.
But 7's borderline top 5.
You said 7.
That's why I needed 7.
Yeah,
He went from 1 to 7.
Because 9's not
he didn't
borderline.
allow a touchdown all year.
He realistically went 2 to 9 because he wasn't 1.
No. You know who's definitely not top 5? Stevens, the corner we signed, Brent Stevens.
Oh yeah.
He's
DJ Reed to Stevens is a pretty bad fall off. Sadly,
not a great signing. Man. We'll talk about
the
them.
unfortunate truth is that your secondary is bad outside of Sauce.
I like the Cisco signing.
Cisco, apologize.
I was cool with that.
Cisco.
And I like Michael Carter in the slot's good.
He's definitely passable, no doubt.
Yeah, we need a boundary corner. It's gonna be Brent Stevens, and we're gonna do our best.
I wish you guys would have got Javon. For that price, that's not a bad contract.
It wasn't at all.
Yeah, Javon is a good player. I thought he was going to Minnesota. I like the Giants pick. They got a nice
that edit is elite.
Secondary.
It's an elite edit right there.
Fields looks good too.
Yeah, but Tay looks cleaner. I'll be
Look
honest.
at Evan Ingram, man.
So, Riv, where does Fields rank for you this upcoming season in terms of
like
your
Ravens hierarchy?
Eagles, Bills, boom, 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 Purdy?
That's a good question.
All right, so
This is your Cam Reddish.
He's cooking.
Yo.
Except Justin Fields gets way more PT.
Yeah, he also has way more aura.
Cam Reddish had a couple playoff games.
Yeah, I would say that. Like, it's always Eagles, Bills, and Jettas.
With who?
The
Hawks?
Hawks.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, against the, I forgot, was it against
This
the
guy's
Bucks?
been a starter for like 5 years though.
It's against the Bucks.
Yeah.
Bucks. Yeah, 27.
He was
I was actually,
generational.
funny enough, watching that shit.
He was really good.
I was watching that shit like 3 days ago. It just popped up on my YouTube, and I was like,
You know who the fuck I was watching recently, bro? I was watching Darko Milicic. Because I was just like, why did he become a bust? And from the information I gathered, one, he blamed a lot of it on himself, that he was just lazy and he didn't really love basketball like that. It was just an escape for him because in Ukraine it was like war-ridden.
You know who that is?
Darko, of course.
Yeah, second overall pick, 2003 NBA draft.
Why did you say all that? We could have asked.
Oh, my bad. So Darko Milicic, he wanted to play like a European big. He wanted to shoot on the outside, but Larry Brown, the then Pistons head coach, he wanted to play him down low. He wanted to play him like, Shaq. And he, that was never Darko's game. So
it would have been perfect next to Ben too.
I think the styles just kind of messed him up. A coach was trying to put him in a box, and he wanted to be more than that. And maybe if he was in this era, he would have succeeded. But
Pistons
in that
had
era,
a chance to build a dynasty, man. Just one pick difference. If you either go Melo or Wade,
That's their Wiseman to LaMelo.
Fact.
I mean, they won a ring though.
They did win.
Yeah, both.
They did.
So
Both
did the
teams
Warriors.
did. Yeah.
Damn, Detroit was great for after they
were.
ECF. It was crazy.
he was gone from Detroit after his second year. He got traded mid-season. He went to Orlando, and he played well in Orlando. And I got him a contract in Minnesota. And
he got his ring.
He was just like a role player.
Because they got Ben Wallace and Rasheed down there.
Yeah.
Like, where was he gonna?
Yeah, but
top 2 pick not starting.
That's why people don't talk about that. Sometimes players, they're not bad. It's just how they fit.
I was actually looking at how, the other day I was looking at old scouting reports because I was trying to figure out how did Adam Morrison and Raymond Felton go top 5.
He was Larry Bird.
Yeah, so I went to go look because I wanted to see how we have these guys like Cooper Flagg, Cade, Boncaro, and then there was just a draft with Adam Morrison.
He went to Florida?
Who?
Adam Morrison?
Gonzaga.
Gonzaga. You're thinking of Horford? Noah?
No. I thought that there was a white boy on that
Chandler Parsons went to Florida.
With them, that when they two-peated?
No.
On Florida?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't think.
Maybe you might be talking about Gordon Hayward. That was a high.
He was on
before
Butler,
Chandler.
wasn't he?
Yeah, but that was a high top 10 put.
Let me see.
Yeah, I was looking down to see because how does a draft just go Raymond Felton, Josh Childress, Adam Morrison, and he was right. They would call him Larry fucking Bird.
Raymond Felton. Chris Paul was in that
baby.
draft. D. Will, and then we got Raymond Felton. Raymond Felton was good for a while.
He
though.
was top 5 pick.
With the Knicks, he was really good. I really enjoyed watching
the Bobcats. He was fun. He was fun to watch. A stocky ass guard just trying to bully his way to the rim.
You know who I was wondering where he went, bro?
Kyle Lowry type.
Anthony Morrow.
Same body.
Yeah, man.
Bro,
Next legend.
I met Anthony Morrow.
Oh, you did?
I did.
His last team was
GSP.
OKC.
It might have been. Anthony Morrow, bro, with the Warriors in his second season, he averaged like 14 points and he shot above 40% from 3.
He was a bucket for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, he could shoot.
Then he went to the Nets and then everything went downhill from there.
Everything. If you went to the Nets in that time period, you fell off.
Bro, I wish they were still in New Jersey, bro. I just don't know why they took them away.
They need
Like,
a team,
I don't
man.
think their attendance is even good in Brooklyn.
Well, I did go to a Lakers game, to be fair. So
Was it more Lakers fans or Nets fans?
It was a lot of Laker fan. And would you believe me if I told you I was next to the only 2 Nets fan in the building?
I'm crying.
New Jersey was really bad though towards the end.
Did they have a jersey on?
Like nobody.
fans?
was
It's because
going
like they knew
What was the most
they were
popular jersey,
moving.
Cam?
Yeah.
and they made the D Will move.
Bring eyes.
Claxton.
But bro, like the kid
see
era
jerseys.
was good.
It was.
They just kept messing up. Like their moves to build around kid, they kept messing up, bro.
You know whose jersey I saw a lot of, which made sense? Vince Carter.
That makes sense.
He's easily the coolest net
For sure.
in their franchise. Like even cooler than
love
their
the-
best player, Jason Kidd.
I love
Yeah.
Devin Harris, man. I was a big.
I thought
Devin
Devin
Harris
Harris was going to be
was
nice.
fire.
Yeah.
Devin Harris has one of the coolest in-game dunks there ever was.
His name is just swag.
Mm-hmm.
Devin Harris. Like,
The Nets had a run, bro. The 90s, the early 2000s when they had Drazen, Kenny Atkinson, Derek
Wasn't
Coleman.
Devin Harris on that team that had like 14 wins?
yeah.
Devin Harris,
Yeah.
12
He was
and
on the
70.
12 and 70 team.
Jesus Christ.
He
They
does-
were 12 and 70, bro.
I remember they used to.
Yo, they're ass.
They were
Like,
so
that's the
down
worst
bad.
team ever.
The rack was the Boys and Girls Club was able to afford tickets for like all the kids.
Yeah,
Probably
they
giving,
used to
they're
go
probably
all the
giving away
time.
tickets.
That's how bad they were. It was like, we got these
Bro,
tickets.
NBA
Take it.
2K now is generous with ratings. Like old time teams, the word like Johan Petro gets like a 70.
50. He was
Bro,
52.
in 2K11, because I just bought that old game, I'm looking through these ratings, bro. They were malicious. Like the ratings were, if you were bad, your rating was bad. Like Johan Petro was like a 56. You look at the Nets roster, Brooke Lopez, 80. Devin Harris, like an 80, 84. And then everybody else, bro, like straight 75s, 60s, 50s. Like they're really that bad.
Isn't Ty Jerome like an 86 in 2K right now?
Ty
Is he-
Jerome?
No way.
He's like 82.
Is he 82?
That's respectable.
Okay, 86 would have been nuts.
Yeah, that would have been like, what the
Well,
fuck?
because Mobley's in 92, is it? Yeah,
Billy
that's
Cade,
still
92.
crazy.
Mobley low key is a 92.
Hikey.
He's the same rating as Cade Cunningham.
Kate is 92 too.
Yo, I'm
I
not
think that
mad at that
adds
too
up,
much.
yeah.
I'm not mad at
Mobley's
it.
defense
I
is
won.
just
That's
generational.
cool.
I won
All
that
right,
draft.
Donovan's in 94, Evan Mobley's in 92, Garland's in 88, Jared Allen's in 88, Ty Jerome's in 83.
I'm cool with that.
I feel like 83 is about as good as you can get for someone who's not a star.
Ty Jerome better than DeAndre Hunter?
No.
I think Hunter's a better like overall player, but
DeAndre
Ty's
Hunter's
having
in 82.
yeah.
I don't hate that.
He's about to get that cat.
Ty's playing so well, bro. He's 50, 40, 90 right now. He's
Yeah,
the only player in the league
Hunter's
doing
definitely
it.
going to get
getting
the
minutes.
swag bump for sure soon. Yeah, man.
But Hunter should be over him.
Cade Mobley.
Hunter should be like the 84
good-
and Ty the 83.
I'm with you.
Evan Mobley. Now let's get into NFL free agency. Let's talk about the winners. Riv, what's your winner?
One of my damn, I hated that I went first.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
want
was,
me to start?
that was
I'll start.
crazy.
Nah, I'm here. I got one team. I'm assuming we're gonna do 1-1-1. One of my winners was obviously an easy answer. It's the Chicago Bears, man. Just a team that essentially rebuilt their offensive line in the span of like 2 days. And I thought it was really good. You know, you got a mixture of veteran presence. You know, you got a mixture of youth too at the same time. And I don't think they're done. That's the thing. I think they still have the draft, of course, but I think they could fill out maybe the secondary, maybe get another defensive lineman. But another winner also that I could talk about, because it's going to go coincide with one of my hot takes that I got later, is the Rams, of course, bringing in Poona Ford, bringing in Devontae Adams, being able to pair him with Puka Nacua, and, you know, also, like I said on the live stream, starting off with just bringing Matthew Stafford back.
That's a fact,
that
dude.
was the move that really made all this possible, because, you know, you're going into a rebuild without Matthew Stafford. He's probably, in our eyes, the best quarterback in the NFC, if not the best, second best at worst. So, you know, you have a player in Matthew Stafford's caliber that can still play at an elite level. You know, your defense already last year was young, and it was really exciting with Fisk and Verse. Like, I still think they need a little bit of help in the secondary, but in terms of just their front seven is really young. It's really exciting. You're bringing in a guy in Poona Ford who can help out this team. And, you know, you're only getting better. You know, you've pretty much aced the draft the last year or two. You have another draft coming up where you can make a couple more moves. And I think offensively with the Rams, you watch this team, you know, give the Eagles some tough fights. Made it out the first round, got to the second round. The year before that, they gave the Lions some hell in the first round. So this team has been, I know they may not have made an NFC Championship game, but they've been knocking at the door. And I think these moves in free agency, along with the draft, is really going to help them be able to make a run. I can't believe I said all that straight without laughing.
You cooked.
I got a question
impressive.
for you guys
That was
because
impressive.
you started off with the Chicago Bears.
Yes.
I feel like I'm just assuming here that we all have a team that won that features a second-year quarterback.
What It's funny you say that. Is my theme of all my winners is literally teams who drafted a quarterback last season.
Minus Penix.
Minus the Falcons.
Yes, minus Penix.
Who even the Falcons, they did bring in Leonard Floyd on a 1 year, $10 million. We talk about it all the time. They needed to go and bolster up that defensive line. They tried to do that with Judon. They bring in Leonard Floyd. I don't hate that, but you do lose Grady Jarrett. That's obviously a huge bummer. And then they re-sign Jake Matthews, their left tackle, which obviously he's still one of the better ones. I'll say this. Every other second-year quarterback was amazing.
They're like the winners of the free agency.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You look at Washington, I'm sure that you guys spoke about them. I saw, obviously, you guys recorded the clip of saying how they had a real-life dream offseason, and it's 100% true. You trade for Laramie Tunsil. You trade for Deebo Samuel. You keep Bobby Wagner, who was just second-team All-Pro yet again in this late stage of his career.
How's he keep doing it, man?
He's a legend.
The
One of the
PR is
all-time
insane.
greats.
How many is he up to now?
Dude, it's high. It's almost double digits.
Damn.
That being said, you keep Zach Ertz, a nice veteran presence in the locker room, obviously performed for you pretty well. Got to give them some love.
We signed Bates too. Senate's never going to get time.
John Bates, he blocks.
Obviously, you talk about the Bears. I'll talk about the Vikings. I know that you two probably wanted. Well, I know you for sure are going to
So you're
talk
not talking about the
Patriots.
Broncos.
Of course, I want to talk
Surprised.
about them last. The Vikings keeping Byron Murphy, keeping Aaron Jones, bringing in, of course, Will Fries and Ryan Kelly. Although Ryan Kelly maybe not be the best at this point in time, still bringing in Will Fries. They needed interior offensive linemen. That was a huge get for them. And then bolstering up the defensive line, Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. That was great. Sneaky, Isaiah Rodgers, opposite side of Byron Murphy. Not sure what's going to happen with Stephon Gilmore, but obviously getting Isaiah Rodgers opposite side of Byron was huge. And then again, like I mentioned, I'll let you talk about the Patriots. My Denver Broncos. I'll speak on two sides of this because I'll talk about the fan side and I'll talk about the realistic side. Realistic side first. We signed 3 injury-prone players. That's just a reality. And maybe I won't categorize Evan Ingram too much as an injury-prone player, but I look at Hufanga. Hufanga was an All-Pro in his rookie season. He was fantastic. He's been plagued with injuries ever since. He is amazing when he's on that football field. A little bit of a steep contract, but I think we needed his position, especially opposite side of Brandon Jones. Dre Greenlaw. One of the best contracts given out this free agency, and it was in due to situation that he was obviously coming off an injury. If he plays last season, he's up there with the contract that Zach Bond just received. Maybe a little bit less because Zach Bond was arguably the best linebacker last year. Dre Greenlaw was the biggest, most essential piece to our defense that we needed to add. We've needed a linebacker since arguably Danny Trevathan and Brandon Marshall. It's been that long that we've needed a legit linebacker. And Broncos fans will ride for Alex Singleton. I like Alex Singleton as much as the next guy. There's a huge gap between him and Dre Greenlaw. And then, of course, Evan Ingram gets added to this offense. Again, the fan in me is super excited for these moves because they were all moves that we needed. We needed a safety. We needed desperately a linebacker. And we've needed a tight end since Owen Daniels.
Shout out to Owen Daniels.
I give respect to Owen Daniels, and you and I were having this conversation before we went live yesterday. I said Evan Ingram's probably the best tight end we've had since Julius Thomas. If you don't want to count Owen Daniels, who was washed in his later part of his career, but he had 2 touchdowns in the AFC Championship game the year that we won the Super Bowl.
And there was a couple months of Greg Dulcich in there sprinkled in.
That's I can't with
Just
Greg
the thought of
Dulcich.
The thought of him, absolutely. It was the
He's
thought
a
of Greg
real
Dulcich.
the idea. That's who he is. He's the idea.
Greg Dulcich.
But Evan Ingram has been one of the more reliable tight ends. He has such for sure hands. Sean Payton talked about getting a joker into this offense. He's going to be our slot guy. He's going to get moved around a ton. That's going to be Evan Ingram. But why I love these moves so much is that at the draft, it allows us to go best player available. And I think that we are most definitely going to target a running back. We have not gotten a running back this offseason. I thought that Rico Dowdle might be a guy for us to get. I know Broncos fans really wanted Aaron Jones. But at pick 20, it could be a running back. It could be Omarion Hampton. Who knows with Ashton Genty? I'm not in favor of trading up for him because, again, I think although there is a difference in between Genty and Omarion's still going to be great. I think we stay put at pick 20 because we get a great player regardless. Every time we talk about the Broncos, I say this. Whether it's Luther Burden, whether it is Tyler Warren, whether it is, because that still could be in the cards. Because, again, Evan Ingram is getting up there, and Tyler Warren still is a really great tight end prospect. Or Luther Burden or Matthew Golden. We really can strike gold at pick 20. I really love what we've done this offseason. I really love what all teams that drafted a quarterback did last season.
Broncos probably having the best offseason of any team. If I had to rank them, Broncos are probably number 1, Bears probably number 2. I don't know. I think this offseason, you mentioned New England. I almost expected them to make these moves. I was looking at their free agency class. I'm like, I should be more impressed by this. I did think they got the best free agent in Milton Williams, right? The fact that he's only 26 years old. He was the second highest pressure rate out of all interior defensive linemen, only behind Bronco and Jet legend JFM. Trade him for a 5th-round pick, by the way.
So dumb.
But no, I think like the Patriots one of those teams that I was expecting to make these moves, but the fact that they haven't done anything for Drake May yet, at least weapons-wise, is the only thing that bothers me, right? Of course, you go out and you get Milton Williams, you get Spillane. Morgan Moses, right tackle, I think is a firm pickup, but the only move you really made at receiver or tight end, you got in Mac Hollins. Like, that has been your only move so far, and it's early, right? We're in March 13th or whatever, so they're going to pick up someone at the draft. They could trade for somebody. We know they've been in talks with basically everyone. Wide receiver on the trade market, from Ayuk last year to DK Metcalf to everybody. So I know they want to make a move pretty bad. But their offseason, other than that, has been really good because, in my opinion, you get the best player on the board. The only other thing I'll mention, too, is just
For the Patriots?
Yeah.
Well, Carlton Davis, opposite side of Gonzalez,
My
too.
apologies.
That moves me.
Yeah,
Harold
Carlton
Landry
Davis
getting added to the defensive line.
I think what you're saying, though, is that they bolstered the defense, but the offense, are they going to draft an offensive lineman at 4?
Yeah, it feels
receiver?
like they need multiple pieces on offense.
But they really bolstered the defense.
The Harold Landry,
too, was a great add.
Harold Landry, we were talking about in BR. If he get back to being able to rush the passer, I really like it. The fact that he can stop the run in general is great, right? And Carlton Davis, honestly, I was surprised they got that much money. Maybe that's why it was out of my head because I'm thinking about all the good contracts. Not that Carlton's a bad player. I was just surprised he got the same contract as Charvarius Ward, and he got more money than DJ Reed. So I thought it was a little bit more than I was expecting. But I remember I said it last time, when you're New England, you're going to have to overpay for some guys, right? You're going to have to overpay. We saw that with the receivers too. So the other thing I'll mention is just the Vikings kind of reshaping their defensive line, right?
Definitely.
Bringing in Hargrave, bringing in Jonathan Allen. Both of these guys, they're free agents for a reason, right? If you look at Hargrave, he was coming off a torn pec. He gets 2 years, $30 million, but he had 3 straight seasons of 50-plus pressures before the injury. Jonathan Allen gets 3 years, $51 million, 30 guarantee. That's a big deal. He dealt with some injuries too, but he had a 4-year stretch with Washington where he was pretty damn good, right? He was like an above-average interior defensive lineman. You mentioned some of the other guys, Isaiah Rodgers and whatnot, but them reshaping their defensive line, because this was one of the best defenses in the league last year, right? They were a top 3 unit against the run. So not that they downgrade or anything, but bringing in 2 new interior defensive linemen. Brian Flores is so good that I just trust his judgment on who he wants to bring in. But yeah, that's just another thing that caught my eye.
Yeah, the Patriots, I think they need to give Drake May some more help still. I think you got to get a receiver, whether it's in the draft or maybe for a trade if you're trying to trade for T. Higgins. The Broncos moves were awesome. I thought it was kind of similar to the Patriots in a way where you bolstered up the defense and you got one offensive weapon for Bo Nix and Evan Ingram. So I think they became much, much better. I like the Vikings moves the most just because of the potential upside with them. Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, when they're at their best, we're not far removed from their better seasons as a pass rusher. That's just 2 seasons ago. They were both top 10 with Javon Hargrave being top 5 and Allen being somewhere between the 7th to 6th ranked defensive lineman in terms of pass rush grade. And just a year ago, they both were in the top 20. So if they can get even that production, this is a win because the Vikings had no interior defensive line push whatsoever. Harrison Phillips is more of a run stopper, and I think that's why they're going to interchange those defensive linemen on early downs. And then they have Jonathan Bullard as well. But when you look at the defensive line of Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, Allen, Hargrave, and then Grenard, it's one of the best defensive lines in the league. And their defense, I think Isaiah Rodgers was fantastic. I thought he was probably the best value signing of the offseason.
No doubt.
He had the 19th best coverage grade, and he got 2 years, less than $20 million. I mean, for him, for the caliber of corner,
he was suspended in 2023, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
and he had some good years too. 2022 as well.
He was on breakout
With Indy,
watch,
right?
but yes,
with the Colts.
His final year in Indy, he was on breakout watch, and I thought if he played the next season, he would have became a really solid corner and solidified himself and got a good contract. But the whole gambling suspension thing, it kind of ruined his reputation. So now he has to build it back up on these cheaper deals, and if he plays well in Minnesota, there's no doubt that I think he's going to get a payday.
I mean, he definitely should. But I'm looking at this offseason, and obviously you have guys like Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, who were available in free agency. Obviously, you still have guys like Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Amari Cooper still available. But this wasn't the offseason to go get a skill position player or to go out there and pay up for one, unless your name was Devontae Adams.
There wasn't a lot of options.
And Chris Godwin. There really weren't a lot of options. So when I took a step back from that lens and saw the players available to teams like the Patriots, teams like my Broncos, I was happy that Evan Ingram was the guy we decided to land on to give that contract. Because 2 years, $23 million, that is all day.
Ingram was probably like a top 5 offensive weapon available.
That is a fact. And he chose us.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. He definitely could have had the opportunity to go somewhere else.
What's that say about?
Talk. Hey, listen, I say it doesn't mean much. Other people start saying about Bo Nix, it means a little something.
Interesting.
This offense can be fun, but I'm glad that we didn't overpay. I'm glad, like Trent Sherfield being a depth piece added to the wide receiving core. That's okay with me, especially after losing Josh Reynolds. Need a little depth at the position because when we get to guys, when we talk about Velez, who obviously had a solid season for being a 7th-round pick, and of course, Lil Jordan Humphrey, who that's where we start to really get in question.
Need bodies.
I trust Court. I trust what Marvin Mims can be in this upcoming season breaking out, and I have a strong inclination that in the draft we draft a wide receiver. So it didn't make sense. This is also prior to what happens with Cooper Kupp because there are reports saying that we're one of the favorites to land him. I'm saying I'm okay if we don't. Really, I am.
Yeah, you probably hope that you get a receiver in the draft, but this past year you weren't terrible. Velez even showed flashes as like a 7th
I think
round
Kupp
rookie.
on a 1-year deal is worth it though. 1 year because we know he's not asking for a ton of money.
If we can get Kupp into the building at 10 million, 11 million, to be honest with you, that's a lick. So I'm there for that. But if we have to pay upwards of 20 million,
I think if someone gives him 15, I would be surprised.
Okay, I hope that's the case because truthfully, that's a great contract.
Yeah, I agree. Because there's no risk there. It's 1 year.
I did my winners and themes as well, and one of my themes was second chances for first-round busts. The Cowboys were the leader in this, right?
Have all their signings.
No, this is just winners. I think just they got
the
another chance in a league.
The
Second
players
chance.
are
I
winners.
like that.
Yeah, so the Cowboys. I mean, they brought in Javonte, not a first rounder, but still a second round pick. They brought in Kyer Elam. They brought in Peyton Turner, and they signed Solomon Thomas as well. I don't know if you saw that.
Can't forget about Jonathan Mingo.
great,
Shout out to Jonathan Mingo. They traded for him this past season.
I forgot about Kenneth Murray trading for him on the Titans. And then, I just thought of second chances. The Cowboys, they're really the leaderboard in this, but Daniel Jones going to the Colts, Justin Fields going to the Jets, second chances for former first-round busts. It just fits.
Who just signed Caleb Von Chase?
Hey, one of those guys has a playoff win. I'm down with the playoff. And he got a second contract. We can't forget that.
He did get a second contract.
He got $40 million.
Yeah, and it was one of the biggest mistakes the Giants ever made.
That's on them.
It is on them. Not hating on Daniel.
That is
your
on
bread.
them.
Damn. Losers?
What about your Seahawks for winners, man?
Talk!
I didn't really do teams like that. The only other winner I had here was Brian Thomas Jr. I think he really won because the way they're going to utilize him this season, I think he's going to be a target machine. Gabe Davis is going to be the sacrificial X, and they brought
$13 million a year.
They brought Diami Brown. So
that's a good pickup.
Yeah, Diami Brown is just a vertical stretcher. So Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be lined up in the slot a lot. He's going to be force-fed targets, and I think Liam Cohen and these moves that they've made kind of tell us what they're going to do in their offense. So Brian Thomas Jr. to the moon.
You taking Brian Thomas or Tyreek in fantasy?
Brian Thomas, no question.
I think so too.
Let me say this, because unless you guys spoke, Riv, maybe my mind's eluded me on the Bears conversation, but just for them being winners, them overhauling their offensive line completely. No doubt. But in reference to the draft, pick 10, are we just guaranteeing it's Ashton Genty if he's there?
I don't know. I think they could go best player too. They put themselves in a similar position to the Broncos where they don't have like this huge hole. I still think they need another receiver, but you don't need your wide receiver 3 at 10, right? Running back is really one of their biggest holes. So it puts them in position to, if someone falls, you could take it.
They just picked up Zacchaeus.
Oh, did they?
They
That's
did.
a firm pickup.
That is a awesome
My
pickup.
bad. I didn't see that. That's
Chicago,
a good pickup.
yeah.
Okay.
Role
So, yeah,
player,
you're-
wide receiver,
Now you
receiver
definitely
3.
don't feel the need to pick one to like day 3 or something.
Zacchaeus is like the perfect wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
He's just as serviceable. He's good.
Why can't the Jets get a
He's
couple
always doing
bodies
his
in there like
thing.
that,
You
man?
guys aren't good
Trent
franchise.
Sherfield would have been a nice pickup for y'all.
I would take anybody right
You
now.
want
bro.
Jahan Dotson?
Yo, you like
Anybody.
right now our best option. There's a chance Alan Lazard's on this roster.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Would you have brought back Mike Will?
Nah,
Don't lie.
Nah,
Yeah,
I'm
I was
good.
going to say.
No, I think you make an excellent point, though. I think there are a lot of things that happen in free agency that kind of make it easier for us to predict what's going to happen in the draft.
No
I
doubt.
think the Bears drafting a running back is now in play for sure with the offensive line overhaul. I think the Broncos now drafting a running back or a receiver is in play. And I think the Patriots, like, I know offensive line is a need, but I think receiver might be a bigger need.
Huge need.
I think now Ted McMillan becomes maybe the 4th overall pick. Like, there are a lot of things that have kind of opened up and cleared up now that the free agency period is almost over.
There is a team that I also want to show some love to that I normally never do. I want to give some love to the Raiders. Getting Geno Smith for an absolute lick was huge. I thought re-signing Max Crosby makes a ton of sense. He's easily their best defensive players and one of the best defensive players in the league. Bringing back Kuntz on a 1-year deal, I don't dislike, but mostly getting Geno Smith and bringing in Alex Capitu to bolster up that defensive line. I think that they've made moves that make us also in the same mindset for the conversation of what are they going to do at pick 6. That's another team that it would not shock me. They can change the draft. If they take Ashton Genty at 6, Omarion Hampton at 10 becomes a legitimate possibility, and then now things start to spiral with who goes where and what draft pick, because you're going heavy running back early on. I'm assuming these wide receivers would fall too, assuming these tight ends also fall. That can mean good teams in the back half of the draft can get strong skill position players.
Question. Did Derek Carr deserve $100 million guaranteed?
No, dude, the Saints are dumb.
We almost gave that to him.
4 years, 150, $100 million guaranteed.
He's getting $40 million a year.
Coming from his Raiders tenure?
Well, he's on the Saints.
No, I know, but he got that.
But he got that after
from
the Raiders, yeah.
He got them after the Raiders, like.
But the Saints were like, it's okay, we'll pay it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, he just got it.
So it's breaking news.
Am I? Wait.
No, I think I'm with Riv. I also
I think he
did read.
just got paid.
Did they
extend
restructure
him?
it?
I thought that they said that they are going to pay him the $40 million this season.
Yeah. Next year, he's getting his $40 million this year. Yeah, $40 million guaranteed.
That's smart. If they're just trying to get off his contract sooner, they want to pay him now.
I agree.
Yeah.
Losers. I love the video that you guys did, and I spoke about this a little bit yesterday when we were on live for the game. It's got to be the Chargers. There's no team to me that needed to make or had a strong chance to make moves in the margins to really put themselves in a strong position to win a playoff game this year. You had a ton of money to spend. You had strong positions of need that could have been filled this offseason. You sat in your hands, and your 2 major moves were bringing back Khalil Mack, which I will give them recognition for. Khalil Mack still has some juice in the tank, and signing Najee Harris, which for the contract is not bad.
It was only like $3 million guaranteed.
That was a good deal for all intensive purposes, especially with their run scheme. I think Najee will have success. So I don't want to laugh too much, but I did write LOL in my notes. And bringing back Mike Williams, this was a bad showing in the second off season of the Jim Harbaugh experience.
This is where I disagree with you, because I don't have the Chargers as my loser. Actually, my biggest takeaway or hot take, whatever it was I don't think the Chargers lost the offseason.
I like that.
Because I don't think that's how Harbaugh wants to run his team. I mean, you saw the way that last year their success directly came from the draft and players they drafted. And, of course, Khalil Mack was there, Joey Bosa was there, and stuff like that, and Derwin James and all that. But Joey Bosa's an injury-prone guy. You know, they brought back Khalil Mack. They still have Derwin James. They still have another draft. I don't think them paying Milton Williams $26 million is an end-all, be-all type of thing. I don't think them overpaying for some guys or bringing some guys in. I think their foundation has been the draft, and they want to do that another year and then see if they can make a big splash next year if they want for maybe a Myles Garrett if he does decide I really want to leave, or check free agency again. So I don't think it's bad in a sense, because I do think the Broncos got exponentially better, like super better. Bang. I do think the Chiefs are still, at the top until proven otherwise. I still think the Chargers will have a good draft in the sense of they can still, be in the hunt.
I think the Chargers perspective is interesting because last year in the draft, they drafted a lot of people that we did not know about. And then the regular season came and we're like, okay, they're like really good players.
Yeah.
And even Don Henley, he was somebody nobody knew about, and then he broke out, and I thought he was an all-pro level player this past season. So they're clearly doing things a different way, and I know that next year's free agency class is going to be better than this year's. I thought this year's free agency class, it was a lot of overpays, as it is with a lot of free agencies, but like Milton Williams had 1 year, and he got $26.5 million per season.
That 1 year was special.
He's
was
just so
great.
young, bro. That's the reason.
Yeah, he's young, but
if he was like 28, 29, he wouldn't have got that.
it's a great season, but he's also with Jalen Carter and Nolan
perfect
Smith. I
scenario.
mean, there's so many. Jomo, even their backup of Jomo was
Love
awesome.
him.
Jordan Davis. I mean, Milton Williams, he was amazing, but $26.5 million. You know, if you're the Chargers, you're probably thinking, okay, maybe we can wait on this, because
know.
you think about it. Like, let's just put it into perspective. Them re-signing Khalil Mack was huge. If they didn't re-sign him, their edge room would have been atrocious. If any team had signed Khalil Mack on the open market, we'd be calling them winners. The fact that they kept them in-house,
I agree with that.
I think that is now, you're looking at that group, the interior has to improve. But you're not starting from zero. And I think the real disappointment with me, I had Justin Herbert as a loser just because of the interior of the offensive line. I was really disappointed in them not addressing that position. Will Fries, he had a 5-game stretch of elite play, and then he got hurt, and then he got 5 years, $88 million.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why the Chargers, they didn't want to pay that up. But, you know, Kevin Zeitler went to Tennessee for like, 1 year, $7 million, 1 year, $8 million. Like, I thought he was an upgrade. Maybe you go and get Patrick McCarry, you try to shoot your shot at Drew Dahlman. Like, there were interior offensive linemen there, and maybe somebody still goes. Maybe Mekhi Becton goes, and then, you know, it bolsters up their unit. But overall, I just thought the Chargers really let me down, and they let Justin Herbert down by not helping up that interior.
I think there's a way. I think if Mekhi gets paid a certain amount of money, we get like a 3rd-round pick back.
Yeah, you get a compensatory pick depending on his salary. But it also, have you signed any huge free agents? Not really, right?
No, and we can match it if it's like low, the number we want. We can match it and bring them back, or we just it's like. We really finesse.
You might not even bring him back, though, because, I mean, not that, like, this dude changes things, but you traded for Kenyon Green, former first-round pick from the Texans.
So he was horrible.
He's not good.
He wasn't good.
He's not good. But you also have Tyler Steen, so maybe that's, like, the guard battle.
We just like to bring in dudes.
Yeah, I mean, again, he was drafted in the 1st round, so you know how he's going to – you could buy low on someone who was talented. But when I was looking through my losers, it's almost like, do you want to lose the offseason? Because I trust all of these teams, right? I think the Eagles were a team that lost this offseason, but I know how great they are at the draft. They're just coming off a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to sit here and ignore that. They lost a ton of talent, right? Like Milton Williams is going to be tough to replace, even though you have talent defensive line. Josh Sweat, Mekhi Becton, we'll see what ends up happening with him. Isaiah Rodgers, CJ Gardner-Johnson. It's like it's the Eagles. They're always going to bounce back. I feel like the Chiefs haven't really had a great offseason so far, right? You lost Justin Reed, D-Hop, you traded Joe Tooney. You're taking Jalen Moran as your probably starting left tackle, which, you know, it's a bit of a risk. You gave him not crazy money for tackles, like $15 a year, I want to say, but somebody that you're putting a lot of faith in to trust Patrick Mahomes' blind side, and especially Tooney, who was one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL last year. The 49ers, of course, come to mind because of, I mean, it feels like half of their roster is gone, right? Hufanga and Greenlaw, they go to Denver. You lose Debo, you trade
no use check,
Hargrave, Jalen Moore. Even though
I saw that last year, though,
Aaron Banks.
most of these guys didn't even play.
The one takeaway from this was like, damn, like this feels like, not that these are bad players, maybe like just trimming the fat off the roster, like guys that have gotten banged up in the last couple of years, coming off bad years, and you want to bring in a new slew of talent, you got to pay Purdy, so maybe that's the mindset behind it. And the other team I had was just the Cowboys, man. I don't know. I don't have anything to say about the Cowboys. I don't know what they're ever doing. We were just talking outside. Like, you also hired Brian Schottenheimer to be your head coach before this free agency started, where you did nothing. And I think the funniest thing is the Javonte Williams and Rico Dowdle signing. They signed Javonte Williams because they say Rico's going to be out of our price range, and Rico gets signed for the same exact contract, bro. Like, he gets signed for basically the same money. And if you were anyone was watching last year, Rico Dowdle was clear and away the better of the two running backs. So it's just shit like that goes on throughout the whole roster. Maybe they prove me wrong. And Schottenheimer's a great coach, and Dak throws for 5,000 yards. But I don't know. I don't like what's going on there.
I'm surprised that the biggest loser here isn't CJ Stroud.
I think it probably is, and I've kind of been...
You know, fans been attacking
I've been
me.
fascinated in
People are happy
the
about
amount
this?
of coping.
Yeah, they've been attacking me.
Wait, they think that this is good?
No, Texans fans are bought in Laramie Tunsil getting traded was a good trade, and that they're going to rebuild their offensive line through the draft.
Yeah.
They're bought in on that. In fact, if you say that they had a bad offseason, you're dumb. and you don't know what the master plan is.
I haven't seen these
I do
Texans
not know
fans.
what the master plan
I
is.
think their defense is fine.
The defense is great.
It's
elite.
really great.
If their defense wasn't as good as it is, bro, I feel like they win like 7 games.
But
You're being
C-
so nice.
But CJ
They won 10
Stroud
last.
cannot protect himself.
No.
And you just made a trade with the Vikings, picking up one of the worst interior linemen that there were last year.
Let's
And
not
that's what I got
you
an
still
issue
have
with.
You still have a wide receiver core that, outside of Nico Collins, is injury prone.
Yeah,
That's also true.
that's what I'm more concerned about with their offensive line is the Laramie Tunsil trade in a vacuum. It's a lot of picks, and they feel like if they feel like he is regressing and they want to move off of him a year early, because we know where Nick Caserio comes from. He comes from that Patriots mold where they move on from people a year early. Then I can understand that logic, but the moves that they have made tell me that they're not very good at evaluating offensive linemen.
And they're bringing CJ though.
Yeah, they signed Laken Tomlinson, who was one of the worst guards
horrible.
last year with the Seahawks. He was unplayable. He was so bad. He was a turnstile. And then Ed Ingram, they traded for him. They traded a 6th-round pick. There were 4 guards this past season that had the worst one-on-one pressure rate allowed. 3 of them were on the Texans or on it currently. Ed Ingram was number 1. Number 4 was Laken Tomlinson. And number 3 was Kenyon Green. And 2 of them right now are on the Texans. So I think that they are planning to start them. And people are saying, oh, they're bringing in these offensive linemen for depth pieces. Well, who the hell do you have playing over them? Your offensive line's not good.
Yeah.
So, these aren't depth pieces. You don't have any pieces. These are the moves that you're making to help out CJ. So the offensive line is very much in question. I know we have to wait and see and what happens in the draft. But, you're expecting a lot to just use all of your picks on offensive linemen and just hope that these rookies automatically pan out. Because if not, then this is going to be one of the worst, if not the worst,
Also,
offensive line in
they
the
don't
league.
have an efficient run game, so that's another thing you got to deal with.
You know what's another take that I've heard, bro, from the Texans is that,
Joe Mixon's good.
well, I've heard that.
I don't think he's bad.
And
He's good.
I
He's
think
fine.
it's just
I think
being,
he's fine.
he was in a bad
He's good.
situation.
I feel like if you're not, if you can't run for like a 50-yard touchdown, I'm out.
He definitely showed that this past year. Bro.
Damn. That's
How many
fucked up.
50-yard touchdowns do you think he had? How many
He had some
50-yard plus yard
explosives.
games
How
do
many-
you think?
I still think he has burst.
How many times do you think he really gets a good push?
Dude, Miles
That's
Sanders
true.
led the league in 50-yard rushes.
That's the Eagles.
I guess.
See?
Yeah, that's a cheat code.
Joe Mixon does it with the Eagles.
No,
He can do it.
I've heard a lot when it comes to
Let's
the
see,
Texans.
Joe, am I disrespecting
Is
you?
that, bro, one, people think that this is good, the move for Laramie Tunsil was good as well. But a take that I've heard is that, the offensive line last year was bad with Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
It can't get any worse.
They kind of cooked.
Yeah.
They're not wrong.
Yeah, sure.
He led the league in penalties.
He did
and
lead
he
the league.
did.
Wasn't
The majority of
He
false
did.
start.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
led the league, but he was also a really good pass rusher. He ranked 4th in pass block grade. So it's not like he was bad. And I think the penalties, some of it could be on him, and some of it could just be on the entire offensive line not being on the same page. And if you have a lot of if you have a bad center, I should say, that can mess up the cadence of the count.
That's a fact.
So that might not entirely be on him, as Texans
there
fans
was
are trying to pin it on him. But I'm here to say it could get worse.
I think there was a few in Green Bay where the Green Bay fans were so fucking loud that you couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
So he ended up just having to guess it.
Mix it on 150-plus yard rush.
He'll have one.
Yeah, one.
It's
Against
probably
who?
that one game I saw. Maybe it might have been the Jets, bro.
Was it the
Probably.
Colts game?
I don't know.
Like his first
He
4
played
weeks
well
of
against the
regular
Jets.
season.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, bro, it's it can get worse. So I don't know why people are trying to cope with this move so bad. The defense looks amazing. The CJ Gardner-Johnson trade, they might have the most nastiest secondary in the league, but the offensive line is a huge question mark.
It's a huge
CJ Stroud definitely took it out. Also, Saints, they are hilarious. Bringing in Chase Young, taking on the $40 million or re-signing Chase Young, I should say.
He was good this past year. It was the Saints, though.
7 sacks. Not amazing.
I like their their edge rushers. I like Carl Granderson, and I like
Granderson's
Chase Young.
him.
Yeah, I think that he was young. I felt like it was right. He played well.
One other thing
He's
about
not elite, though.
One other thing I was just thinking about Houston. Nick Caley's also a first-time offensive coordinator too. So you're going into this with a new OC for CJ Stroud. Like I said, that defense is so good that I have faith in them being able to win a certain amount of games. But coming off the year CJ Stroud just had, compared to his rookie year, where people are already talking about him having the sophomore slump,
Like you.
and you're not going to do anything Was it true or was it not?
Week 1 to 7, he's an MVP candidate. That's all
Okay.
I'm saying.
He's coming from the Rams, bro. It's all right.
That's what you're hoping for. Is if Nick Haley is actually something decent, you need to be Ben Johnson level good to make this offensive line work. And even Ben Johnson had a top tier offensive line, right? So I think they're doing CJ pretty dirty right now, because not only is it going to hurt him on the field, but you got to like be somewhat coherent to what's going around the league too. Like you want your guy to have confidence. You want him to be respected around the league, and it's not always going to be his fault for why he's failing, right? Like last year, as much as we joke around, it wasn't all CJ Stroud's fault. Like, did he have some missed throws? Absolutely. But that offensive line
Only
was
one
dog
of us
shit.
over here to joke around.
God
You saying
forbid.
that is
God forbid
nuts.
everybody gets to joke around a little
I
bit.
just want you lied.
Nobody else joked. It was just me.
It's just you.
It really was just you.
It might have been just you.
You guys are crazy.
Well, you did take Bryce Young over CJ.
But he didn't joke.
that's not a joke.
You were throwing real nasty jokes.
I said Jaden May could be better.
You said CJ was ass. You fell
Whoa.
off. You were saying a lot of nasty
Bryce
shit.
Young's my dog.
Whoa.
Can't forget that.
Regardless, some people, we don't have to name any names, joked about him. I feel like as an organization, you have a right to protect your quarterback. You should be doing everything to get him the weapons and line help and play callers and everything around him. So I've seen it with my own 2 eyes with a bunch of different Jets quarterbacks. So God bless him.
The funniest beef right now is, I think, between Bears and Texans fans, because you know when CJ Stroud was giving game to Caleb after they beat them.
Yeah.
And you know
They ran with it ever since.
I really did have an issue with it. You know, they're the same age, bro. I just feel like you kind of like don't do that. But whatever. It was funny.
He's got a
'cause
year on him in the league.
at the
Me and
end.
Dehls same age. I look at him as big, bro.
At the end of the season,
It's because
Bears fans.
Being 6'5" really gets you some different type of energy.
I feel at the end of the season, Bears fans were comparing their stats, and like, you know, it's the box scores are so similar. And week to week, when CJ Stroud was struggling, that clip would just get brought up every week.
Jags fans don't like CJ Stroud either.
Of course they do.
Makes sense.
It
Individual.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because you know CJ Stroud, like
CJ
you
Stroud
know,
not well
had
liked around the league. Is that what
after
we're
1
learning?
year, he was just over Trevor Lawrence.
What'd you say?
So is CJ Stroud not well liked by multiple fan bases?
Definitely, yeah.
I have nothing wrong, CJ Stroud.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I believe that.
He's
The
a top-
hype was
he's
just
top 10
strong
quarterback.
after his rookie year. The hype was very strong, and it's not that he's a great quarterback.
It's not CJ's fault. Other teams choke 20. Like, it's not CJ's fault.
No, it's not his
other
fault
teams
at
choke.
all. But I just feel like, you know, whenever somebody gets hyped, that's why there comes with animosity.
I'll tell you what, CJ moved me in the playoffs because
Played really well.
The offense was pretty mid, and then the playoffs started against the Chargers. He wasn't bad against the Chiefs. Actually, he's actually pretty
He
good.
threw a pick, though. I
He
understand
did
why
throw a
the
pick.
Chargers game, he did throw a pick.
Yeah, but the Chargers game, he
played well.
impressed me. He
He played
impressed
well.
me because I had the Chargers
He's
to win that
He's a
game.
playoff riser, I'd admit.
We're starting to realize that. Although
Playoff
Ravens
riser.
game not the greatest, but it was his rookie
Rookie
season.
year, rookie
Can't
year.
count that.
Was it-
Rookie year.
But we count it because the Browns game, he was such a savage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can
can't
take
count
the
the
good
Ravens
and leave
game.
out the bad as rookie
Yeah,
year.
we
I'll
can
be
leave out the
honest.
Ravens game.
Agreed.
You know,
Okay,
he's 3 for 1 right now.
I agree with that. He was amazing against the Browns, though. Like,
Yeah, he was.
otherworldly against the Browns.
I mean, they were
against the
leaving
Browns.
people like 10 yards.
That
out,
Browns
I think.
defense was Mickey
They
Mouse
just
on the road.
on the road, they're like the worst.
They were
defense
so
in the league.
Mickey Mouse.
got 'em that
They made
year.
the playoffs. You didn't get me at all. I won that year. They made the playoffs.
You did.
Brother.
You did win that year.
My other losers, just the Packers. I like the
was
Nate
gonna say
Hobbs
that, too.
signing.
I was
a
going to
lot.
say.
The Aaron Banks signing, I think, is probably one of the worst signings of the offseason. They were 26 in pass rush win rate, and it's not just the Packers as a team. I think the biggest loser was the Packers pass rush. That's the biggest loser. I feel like it's the clearest, biggest need on the team to get a pass rusher, and the contract that they gave Aaron Banks was the same money that the Cardinals gave out to Josh Sweat.
yeah.
You know, even if Josh Sweat isn't elite, top of the end, great, I would have still paid him over Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks is a below average guard who, I mean, I don't know, maybe they're going to prove me wrong and he turns out to be really good for them, but, you know, based off what he was in San Francisco, I just don't think it was a good signing at all.
I have a hot take for the Packers.
You're not gonna make the playoffs.
Maybe.
That's what we're trying to take, buddy.
We're going to.
Are we going to hot takes?
No, we're going best and worst contracts.
Yes.
So my best contract.
You've
That
been
would've been
dying.
such- that would've
You're
been such a
dying to
nice
give it
smooth
out,
intro.
huh?
No,
Dehls?
you know why? And I
He's dying
respect
to do
it. We called him out yesterday. Name a hot take that Dehls has ever said in his life.
Is this the only one you have, or you have multiple?
I have like 5.
oh wow,
5?
You came crazy this episode.
I have
4
3.
maybe? Hold
You're
on.
moving me.
I don't know. Let
Yeah, I
me
have
see.
like 15.
Hot takes?
No, I'm just kidding. Imagine
I just
15.
believe you.
15.
All right, so my best contracts. I have Drake Greenlaw getting 3 years, $35 million, especially when you compare it to the other defensive linemen. Linebackers that got paid. Nick Bolton and Bo Sherwood got 3 years for $45 million. Then you have Spillane, who got 3 years, $37 million. Dre Greenlaw, at his best, is probably better than all of them.
He clears Spillane.
So, yeah, for sure. That was the best contract that I have. Then the worst contracts. I had Javon Kinlaw, 3 years, $45 million. Not the greatest, but when we spoke about it outside, you made me start to see the light a little bit. Still not great, especially after a down year last year. And then Chase Young, 3 years, $51 million. I was fine with it if it wasn't the Saints. I think the Saints are just in a position where they should be giving no contracts. We should be trying to get out of our cap hell. We shouldn't be trying to spend money. They're always, I think, until this situation clears up, the Saints are always going to be losers for me because there's really not much that they can do to overly better their roster. Can I ask a question? Because I thought I read that Justin Reed was going back to the Chiefs. No, he's going to the Saints, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he's gone.
Okay, I thought so. I don't know what I read on Twitter, but when I looked again, it said that Justin Reed signed with the Saints. Which, again, I can understand it, the defense trying to improve in that fashion. But I don't think Chase Young was... I don't want to be rude. He wasn't bad. He wasn't good, per se. He's like 7 sacks is for who he was supposed to be. 3 years, $51 million.
That's just who he is.
No, for who he was supposed to be, it was a way better, more expensive contract. But
Like,
again,
honestly, between him and Josh Sweat, Chase might have had the better season. But Chase is viewed as a guy who should have been elite, and he's not. So I think that
Sweat was
hurts
pretty
him a
great
lot.
last year. I think which is a fair thing to do. In a way, you're minimizing Milton and Sweat because they were on such a great defensive line, even though they were still great.
No, I'm not minimizing them. I don't think Milton Williams
That
should
they
have
were
got
overpaid.
Yeah, Josh Sweat, I'm fine with his contract. I think Josh Sweat's contract is actually a steal.
Yeah, for sure.
Milton Williams definitely got overpaid. $26.5 million. I mean, that's like kind of like borderline resetting the market.
Chris Jones got 30. I think, is Melton second highest paid?
I wouldn't be surprised if he is. That's pretty. I think he might be getting paid more than next.
The only thing
Lawrence.
that you can justify is he was elite.
No, he was.
He was incredible. Like one of
He's
the
third.
best.
Christian Wilkins is second.
Christian Wilkins, yeah. Like, I'll be honest with you. Christian Wilkins or Milton.
As a pass rusher, it's Milton. As a run stopper, it's
Agreed. Christian Wilkins is still one of the better run
Milton
stoppers.
Williams is not like that great against the run. He's really a pass
Yeah, he
rusher
is.
specialist.
I agree.
So I think that's kind of where, it's fine. The Patriots had a lot of money to blow, so
did.
they were able to make that type of move.
Stolen
but-
from the Panthers.
Yeah.
That kind of pissed me off.
But for a team like, for example, the Panthers, that $26.5 million, if you give him that, you probably don't bring in Trayvon Merrick. You probably don't bring in Bobby Brown. You probably don't bring in Tashawn Warren. Like, they might have, got more depth on their defensive line because they didn't sign him. They got Tashawn Warren and Bobby Brown, he's a run stopper from the Rams. Like, I think instead of big fish hunting, because he turned them down, they were able to just fill out the defensive
But
line a little bit more.
also, just having Derek Brown there too is
Yeah.
just roster construction wise. You're going to pay two interior defensive linemen the top of the league type money when they're due.
yeah,
so
that might have been like they
Blessing
might have
in
been
disguise,
a blessing that he didn't sign there.
Can we round table? Because this is one that I had as a question mark. How do we feel about J.C. Horn getting 4 years, $100 million?
That was one of my worst contracts.
it was. I wasn't expecting him to reset the market by any means.
He shouldn't have done that. And
Yeah,
I
with the-
love
Because now
Jason
this
Horn.
Pat Surtain extension
He's gonna get
amazing.
30
is
mil.
goated.
Yeah.
No,
Pretty-
we already signed him.
Oh, when you signed
I'm
him
pretty
last
sure
year?
we made it. We just re-signed Pat Surtain.
Why, like last year.
He has one
No.
good year.
This offseason?
I'm like 90% sure. September 4th, the Broncos signed
September 4th.
Pat
Oh, okay.
Surtain, 4 years, $96 million contract extension.
Oh, so he'll be getting 32 in a couple of years.
The fact that he got a contract better than Surtain's
Yeah.
is insane.
Yeah, no,
That's
he
why
was
you. That's
injury
why you
prone.
pay your guys early,
Yes.
man. All of these, the Eagles do it. We saw a PS2. I mean, we see it all across the board. If you pay your guys a
Good
year early,
organizations, yeah.
it's just gonna help you in the long run. That's why I want the Jets to get a Sauce deal done. I want them to get a Garrett deal done because when you look back through the last few years, the teams that have paid ahead of time, it just always benefits you.
My losers, well, first, real quickly, my best contract, Zach Bond, getting his 3 years, 34 guaranteed. I thought that was dope. That's
So we
like,
did re-signings too.
yeah, that for sure.
I didn't have re-signing.
I had to
Re-signing is the same thing, best and worst contracts. Because Bond, you could argue, they paid him a lot.
yes
what
and
do you
no.
guess?
34 guaranteed.
How much a year?
annual 17.
3 for 51, 17.
Yeah, 17. I don't hate it, especially with coming off an All-Pro year in the sense of he's not leaving the system.
It was his first year being great.
For sure.
Which
but
I'm being a hypocrite now.
The difference is, I think
true.
the system doesn't change. You still have your DC, and I think you're still going to play the same role. If you were going to a different team, I'd get that because now you're in a new system. The familiarity isn't there, new players and all that. But him staying in Philly, I understand why we paid him that. He's an All-Pro. Giants, I put up here, getting Javon Holland. I thought that was cool. So I don't know why you let McKinney walk, though, if you're going to just end up paying Javon Holland.
It's kind of like a
lateral
move.
They realized it was a mistake. They righted their wrong.
They kind of just went a full circle.
Yeah, and Javon Holland's a really good player. He's a young player, too, so that's something good.
McKinney's way better.
I agree with you. Byron Murphy going back to Minnesota for 3 years, 34 guaranteed. Just solidifying that spot. He played really well for them last year. But yeah, in terms of worst contracts, J.C. Horn was definitely up there for me because it just doesn't make sense. I think J.C. Horn, always loved J.C. Horn. Let me start there. He's one of my favorite players.
He's just injury prone.
That's the problem. He had one great year last year, but you can't rely on him, unfortunately. Like it's a rough situation, but you really can't rely on him to, constantly be on the field for you on a consistent basis. So resetting the cornerback market.
Surtain should have been the mark. After he just won DPOY, there should be no corner that makes more money than him.
One thing about the Panthers is that the Panthers are just paying their guys.
They do.
Chuba Hubbard got paid too.
And then you look, Travarius Ward got 3 years, 60.
That was
one of my favorite contracts.
That's my point. Like, I think Ward is better than J.C. Horn. So you paid him more.
Ward missed out on money, and I don't want to word it that way.
He
missed out on a payday because of unfortunate circumstances that happened in his life where he unfortunately lost his daughter.
Yeah.
So it forced him to miss a ton of time, and he is still, when he's on the field, one of the best man-to-man corners in the game.
That's how the NFL is. If you don't play a full season, if you're not coming off that, then that number goes down.
Still got $20 million a year. That just shows how good he is.
I thought most of the corner contracts were pretty great. Like I thought the Carlton Davis one was still good. Like he played great last year.
He was.
The DJ Reed contract was really good. You mentioned it.
What do you think?
Paulson Adebo, if he's healthy,
agreed.
He's a really good player.
I really like the Giants' 2 additions in secondary.
He's a really good player if he's healthy. You just mentioned it, Charvarius Ward. And then Isaiah Rodgers. Like I thought, my goodness, that was like I'm looking at it now. 2 years, $15 million. He's getting paid $7.5 million per year.
Yeah,
they robbed
what?
him.
He's a starting corner. He's a starting boundary corner. Those at least go for like $15 million.
Broncos definitely should have tapped in on that.
Yeah, and then the other two I had is like just the best signings. I had them from the Dolphins. I think Nick Westbrook-Akina, 2 years, $6.5 million. 9 touchdowns this past season. That's a good wide receiver 3. And James Daniels, 3 years, $24 million. He's only getting paid $8 million per year. He's coming off a torn Achilles, but before that torn Achilles, he was second in overall PFF grade and second in run block grade. Will Fries had 5 games where he was elite, and he got 5 years, $88 million off that. Now, he is younger than James Daniels, and he doesn't have an Achilles injury, so that's a big thing. But James Daniels, like I think the Dolphins are starting to add some beef up front, and if he is healthy, that's like kind of like the Connor Williams signing where you take a flyer on somebody. This could end up aging well for them.
Connor Williams moved the hell out of me, and that was just his worst years penalty wise. It ended up being still for the Dolphins.
And a re-signing, I think the most obvious one was Ronnie Stanley. I mean, especially when you coincide that with the worst signing I thought, which was Dan Moore Jr. going to the Titans. Dan Moore Jr., he got paid $82 million for 4 years. He allowed 41 pressures this past season.
That's ridiculous.
And Ronnie Stanley's making less money than him.
Yeah, he got the 4th most guaranteed money for any tackle in the NFL.
It's just Ronnie's older and he's
had injuries.
That's really what it was.
And this past year, he was awesome.
He was great. Yeah, it was a great year to have a franchise. Be a free agent, I should say. A couple other ones that I'll mention. You guys talk about all of my favorite contracts. Devontae Adams, which we talked about already. Isaiah Rodgers talked about. Evan Ingram, I thought, was another one we didn't talk about. Yeah. 2 years, 23.
I didn't want to say all the Broncos.
I
think 15 guaranteed, 13 guaranteed,
something around those
nothing crazy. And we said it earlier, like Evan Ingram really was one of the 5 best players, offensive weapons, I should say, on the open market. So getting Bo Nix a safety blanket like that, who could eat over the middle of the field, who instantly becomes your number 2 option. Hell, maybe some games number 1s. We've seen him over the years be like leading this Jaguars team in receiving, especially before they had Brian Thomas. So I thought that was a great signing. Worst contracts, Dan Moore, I agree. I thought that was the worst contract. Brandon Stevens, I do not get, man. I do not get the Brandon Stevens contract. Me and Joel were talking about some of the other small moves they've made. I'm starting just to get around. They're probably backups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to get mad at the Okafors and
Josh Myers.
Some of these Josh Myers,
They're
who
dead piece.
don't grade out well, but they should be backups, and you should be getting starters soon. But the Brandon Stevens deal, you paid him to be your cornerback too. 3 years, $36 million, $23 million guaranteed. PFF had him as the 153rd best corner in the NFL last year. He was ranked 174th in coverage. He gave up 800 yards, 67% completion percentage, and 107 passer rating last year.
That's food.
To give him benefit of the doubt, 2023, he had a pretty good year, right? The 2 years prior, he was a safety, wasn't playing well. So he has 1 year of, high-level football, I would say, but mostly and most recently, probably the worst football of his career. And you lose DJ Reed for just $4 million more. I know DJ Reed wasn't going to come back, right? Yeah. He made that clear. But still, it just hurts to make that much of a downgrade on paper. A couple 1 year deals, I was surprised. Hassan Reddick getting $12 million guaranteed.
That was weird.
Maybe he was just the Jets, and by the time he got there, their season was over, so he was just playing for himself and wanted sack numbers. But my God, he was terrible last year. Surprised Javonte Williams got $6 million when Rico Dowdle, like we said, had the same contract. Tutu Atwell getting $10 million on 1 year deal, but Tutu Atwell.
Hey, Tutu Atwell has hands.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. $10 million. Josh Palmer got 12. So
Demarcus Robinson left the Rams too.
Yeah, Demarcus Robinson, I would rather have than Tutu Atwell. He got less money.
Where did he go? He went to
the Niners.
There we go.
And the last player I mentioned, I was surprised Grady Jarrett got as big of a contract he got. 3 years, $43 million, 28 guaranteed. He's been declining for a couple of years, right? He's coming off back-to-back years of two of his worst years in terms of missed tackle rate. He's had 50 pressures over the last 2 years, which is the fewest 2 year stretch of his career. He's turning 32 years old in a couple of months. So the Bears, I like that they beefed up the offensive and defensive line, but I was surprised he got that much money.
Yeah, I think the other loser I had really was just the Patriots with the Harold Landry contract. I thought that was a lot. He's really good against the run. But for no pass rushing juice, 3 years, $43.5 million, that's just them having a lot of money to spend and needing to spend it on somebody. And he's really close to Mike Vrabel, so here I'm gonna give you this
That's
bag.
fair.
And Aaron Banks, I mentioned earlier, Javon Kinlaw, even though he might be in a new situation with the Commanders.
Oh yeah,
I just thought based off his film, that might not be so ideal. They needed to beef up the run defense.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, dude.
He's a good pass rusher. He had 30 pressures this past season, and he ranked 39th out of 219 interior defensive linemen in terms of pass rush grade. But in terms of the run, he's not that good. But if they use him just as a passing down rushing specialist, then I think it can work, and it won't look that bad. I think he can have a good season, and he has the Adam Peters connection, so maybe Dan Quinn molds him into something more than he's shown.
He left the 49ers, right? Contract expires. He signs a 1 year deal with the Jets for was it $7 million, $9 million? Has a objectively bad year and gets 30 guaranteed.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Javon.
Yeah,
So
Shout
let
out
me
to
ask
you.
you guys, biggest takeaways for you guys, do they coincide with your hot takes, or are they kind of separate?
It's kind of a little both.
There's some similarities between
There's
mine.
a little similarity. So
Yeah.
a couple of mine. Rams know they can compete for a championship still. Chargers are frauds. The Texans hate CJ Stroud. Rookie quarterback deals are still the biggest bargain. Still remain the biggest bargain in football.
I have three. I think number one, the Bears are building things the right way. We talked about it on BR, but last offseason, it was a lot of flashy moves. DeAndre Swift, day one of free agency, who can forget that? Trade for Keenan Allen. You draft Rome Odunze. This year, it's the trenches, right? It's getting Joe Tooney. It's getting Jonah Jackson. It's getting Dahlman. It's, even though I don't love the Grady Jarrett signing, he's still someone that is going to be a starter for you. And Dio as well, I know you're a big fan of, even though I have some questions about what he looks like.
I'll sleep on the
Yeah, so they're building things the right way. The other two, I think the Commanders have made the two most impactful moves out of everybody, right? They haven't made a lot of moves. They re-signed a lot of people, but the two huge moves they made were Laramie Tunsil. You're getting a top 5 left tackle in the sport, and Deebo Samuel, who with Cliff Kingsbury, I think could really make some things happen. I think outside of maybe Devontae Adams and Milton Williams, those are going to be two of the most impactful moves. And the last one's for Denver. I think the defense is flawless. I think this defense right now, you really cannot have any questions about.
I think the NFC North is just the best division in football. I think they're all well ran. I mean, the Packers, they had the Aaron Banks move, which I didn't like, but the Nate Hobbs move pretty much completes their secondary and makes them one of the best secondaries in the league, especially
if Jair
stays and he's healthy. The offense, even with not having like a top end wide receiver, they'll still be at minimum a good offense. So we'll see what they do in the draft. The Bears had a phenomenal offseason. The Vikings had a phenomenal offseason. And the Lions, getting DJ Reed to be that Carlton Davis replacement, counting on those younger guys to improve. And then, just Roy Lopez from the Cardinals, he's going to be really good as a pass rusher there. And Derek Barnes, the linebacker they re-signed who got hurt this past year, when he's healthy, he's really good, and they got him on a steal. So I think the Lions are still making some good moves, cost-cutting and efficient moves. I think all these 4 teams, they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot and for the division crown.
Mm-hmm. For me, I got 3. So Chargers and Panthers, more trust in home. For 2 different reasons. Obviously, Chargers, they did bring back Khalil Mack, but I think they're trusting in the process, trusting in their scouting department, and trusting in their coaches just go through the draft and figure this thing out. We'll have money for next offseason if things do pan out. But you got to look at this team, and at first, people didn't have them making the playoffs. People thought this would be a rebuild year, myself included. They ended up making the playoffs, and of course, as we all talk about, specifically me and Drew, expectations change when the playoffs happen. Their expectation was to win a playoff game once they got there. They had the Texans. People dubbed the Texans kind of one of the worst teams in the playoffs. You had you didn't have home field advantage, but you had a situation where you were the favorites and the Texans were not surging. They were more struggling at that point. You end up blowing that game. But I think they're going to trust their process. For the Carolina Panthers, it's more re-signing a lot of their guys back and trusting in the fact that Bryce Young showed immense improvement throughout the year last year and trusting in the process of building this offense through the draft. You had Chuba Hubbard, who also had a breakout year last year. You're still trying to figure out that wide receiver core, but that's what the draft is for. Defensively, you've brought in guys also basically bringing back the guys you had last year, as we talked about the J.C. Horn. I don't love the J.C. Horn money, but I think when he's on the field, he's really good. It's just about getting on the field. And then the third team is trusting the old guy, and that's the Rams. Trusting in the old guy of Matthew Stafford. And the fact that he can still play at a high level. He's still very much a clutch guy in the fourth quarter. He can still dissect defenses. So why not give him a guy who's more reliable in Devontae Adams as opposed to Cooper Kupp, keeping Puka Nacua. He does have an injury problem throughout his first couple years in the NFL, but Devontae Adams has been probably one of the most reliable guys as of late throughout the season, in terms of just being a guy who can get separation. His hands are still up there. He can still beat guys. And then defensively, just bringing in Poona Ford. I think they're going to have a really good draft, so that's something to look forward to. I think the Rams are gearing up for another run.
Like that. Got hot takes?
All right, yes. I can happily get my 3 off real quick. Hot takes. A sophomore quarterback will win MVP. A sophomore quarterback will make it to the AFC or NFC championship. A sophomore quarterback will win the Super Bowl.
They're all the same.
Who's that sophomore quarterback? It's for us to decide.
So that means we have Michael Penix, Drake May,
Crazy
Caleb Williams, Bo Nix,
JJ
McCarthy.
Yeah, and
so what? That's 20% of the That's 10% of the NFL.
That's 20%.
Realistically, 20%? Penix will not be in this conversation.
Yeah,
most of them in the NFC.
But outside of Michael Penix, a sophomore quarterback will have strong success this season.
So we got 4 out of 32.
I got one. I got 3. First one, Eagles and Rams early NFC championship game. I'm stamping that right now. Eagles and Rams, 1-2 seed, NFC championship game. I'm really strong on this one, and I said it on the live, so I'll say it again. JJ McCarthy has a better year than Sam Darnold did last year. I'm putting that in. I really love JJ McCarthy's traits.
4,335 touchdowns.
I think he can do it.
And absolutely took it, crumpled it up, threw it away with 2 games.
I think JJ McCarthy, I really liked his tape. Watched it the other day. That Michigan tape is some cool,
that dude
collected
has a rocket.
Tape. Has a really good arm. I think he's a really good, smart quarterback. And I think with those weapons at your disposal, you really can't have a bad year. So and then you have that play calling, that offensive genius you got over there. I really trust in JJ McCarthy to get this shit going. Another one, Justin Fields, man. Dehls.
We're here.
We know where I stand with this. We're here. Justin Fields is going to finish as a top 20 quarterback.
I love that.
That's where I'm standing.
I
Top
love
20.
that.
Okay.
Not going to say 15.
There's a lot of good QBs.
Not going to say 10. I'm going to say
Top 20 's
So
firm.
18, 19, 20 is really where I'm lining him at. Him and Garrett Wilson are going to have fun this year. He didn't look like he had fun last year, but he's really going to have fun this year. And I'm talking about, remember that year DJ Moore had, man? It was just so fun and exciting. Well, Garrett Wilson's better than him. So I can only imagine that he's going to have a really fun year. Along with Breece Hall, the second best running back in the league, he's also going to have a fun year.
Fuck, I hope so.
And when he has a fun year, Justin Fields has a fun year, everybody has a fun year.
You know, I feel like my hot takes progressively get hotter. I think the number one hot take I have that might not be so hot is I think the Cowboys come in last in the NFC East. I think
Under the Giants?
I think there's
Giants
a
are kinda
chance
cooking.
that the Giants could finish above them, especially if they get Aaron Rodgers on the team. You know, it might not be a phenomenal team, but I think they'll teeter around 500.
Also 99 on Rodgers.
Yeah, or Russell Wilson maybe, you know, just game managing, not turning the ball over. Brian Dable is coaching for his job essentially, so I think he has some added motivation. And I don't trust the Cowboys coaching. I think that's something that I'm overlooking because of all the other dumb moves they've made. But I always go back to, oh my God, they actually have the worst coaching in the division by far. Like they have the worst coaching in the NFL. They are the worst coached team in the league. So I don't feel too confident in them. I think Sam Darnold has a chance to lead the Seahawks to the playoffs. The draft will dictate a lot of this with 2 second-round
the smile,
picks,
camera.
2 third-round picks,
You know what that
and a
means.
first-round pick. But Sam Darnold, you look at the numbers after Week 9 when Christian Darrisaw got hurt due to injury and Cam Robinson had to play. The Vikings' pass protecting offensive line last year was not good. The interior, there's a reason why they overhauled it. It was very bad. The Vikings' pressure rate was worse than the Seahawks. It was 10% to 9%. Not that much of a difference after Week 9. Darnold, after Week 9, had 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a 98 passer rating. He threw for the most yards under pressure of any quarterback in the NFL. Against the blitz, he had 14 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 126.3 passer rating. Sam Darnold was really good, and I know that
Who was his play caller?
KOC, and this
Who's
is the
about to
thing.
be?
Who was his number
Clint
one?
Kubiak.
Good old
Yeah.
Clint Kubiak.
Well, Clint Kubiak with
You're
Derek
in?
Carr, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
So you're
100
in?
passer rating. Yes, I think Sam Darnold's
15
going to play well.
touchdowns? Who had 15?
no, he's saying Derek Carr.
Oh.
He played 10 games.
Oh.
Yeah, he played 10 games.
Shit.
Yeah.
So
So
for a
and,
season.
And Clint Kubiak, you trust.
And Clint Kubiak
Those first couple weeks were electric.
Clint Kubiak is coming from the West Coast offensive
I have faith
scheme.
in Clint, or
Yeah.
kind of not blind, but like, you know,
He showed some
sort of
things.
blind.
With a single.
me without
wide
glasses, kind of vibe.
receiver. All right,
Wait,
if that's
well,
the
Clint
case,
Kubiak's not bad.
all right,
Wait.
that's barely a human.
Dehls,
barely.
Wait. Clint Kubiak was on the Saints last year.
He was a Saints
Wasn't
OC.
their first 2 games inflated as fuck because they played the Panthers and the Cowboys?
Yeah, but they were also healthy. They had so many injuries. Quarterback
Eric
got
McCoy,
hurt.
once he got
So is that
Center
like,
got
is
hurt,
there like a
receivers
middle
got
ground
hurt.
here where you played some pretty shit ass
But I like what
defenses?
he
And
was
you played
doing.
you guys when you guys
A lot of
weren't
play
that
We
good.
action.
locked them.
This is
I know.
Clint Kubiak's
Locked the
second
fuck
stint
out of them,
as an
actually.
OC. Clint Kubiak was an OC with the Vikings with Kirk Cousins.
Uh-huh.
Kirk Cousins had one of the best statistical seasons of his career.
Talk to me.
It's Kubiak,
With the
so,
Saints,
you know,
with the
respect
Saints,
that.
he was a good play caller. There were some games where Derek Carr didn't have Shaheed or Chris Olave, and MVS was doing his thing. You know, their offensive line was so bad, and yeah, the Seahawks' offensive line is bad too. So obviously, you know, that's why in the draft they have to use their first couple of picks to overhaul it. I think Charles Cross at left tackle is solid. Abraham Lucas was healthy down the stretch of last year. I think that's your right tackle, and then after
Great.
that, the interior of the offensive line you have to improve, but JSN is there. I think JSN is a great receiver who can enter the elite mark after next
is amazing.
season.
What's the difference between the Texans and the Seahawks?
No. What is the difference?
It's not that much. Well, Nico Collins is just that's
I
probably
feel
the
like
separator.
they're similar, but the
They
Texans
are.
have a better defense.
But I think the Seahawks have a better offensive line because of their left tackle play.
Fair. I mean, they
that's
both
it.
need to overhaul the offensive line. So really, whoever hits on their draft.
I mean,
Yeah.
Charles Cross is good. It didn't help them too much.
Well, that side at least was not like the liability. You know, like everywhere else in the interior.
That's
you know,
like
where
Laramie
Geno's
Tunsil
pressure
last
came
year.
from. Yeah,
Um,
but when I look at the
sorry.
Seahawks,
Go ahead, bro.
I look at Sam Darnold and how well he played. And this is the thing, and this is where, you know, we can acknowledge a couple things.
I'm ready.
The Vikings
Yes.
were a great situation
100%.
that a ton of quarterbacks would succeed in. We also
In
saw
hindsight,
Sam
yes.
Darnold all year long waiting for him to fold, and he folded at the very end, the last 2 games of the season. But before that, Sam Darnold was phenomenal, and he made plays on his own that went above and beyond the scheme. He made high-level throws. He made high-level plays. He was top 5 in big-time throws.
I just wish I cared. Like, I wish I
Do you think I think Sam will be he'll not be what he was in Minnesota, but I don't think he's going to be a bum.
We have to grade the Seahawks on a bit of a curve just because Geno Smith did not want to re-sign there. That's why they traded him.
I thought he
got the contract that they gave Sam.
Correct.
But Geno might get $40 million.
Yeah, so I just think Seattle probably wasn't willing to maybe dish out that contract.
And I understand.
And I think Sam Darnold could give you similar production. And if you have a good offensive line in front of him, you spend that money elsewhere. I mean, they signed DeMarcus Lawrence too. He's not the same pass rusher he once was, but he's one of the best run-stopping defensive ends in the league right now.
The defense.
Their defense is going to be a top 10 defense in the league.
I agree.
Yep.
If they can just get production from their offense, which, a top 20 offense, this could be a wild card team. And if
top 20 offense, the floor is so low.
Yeah, but still, when you have like a top 5 defense and you have that level of offense, you can kind of get away with, like, the Texans they had like what, the 18th ranked offense this past year? Yeah, so when you have that level of defense, you can get away with
AFC
things.
South and
Yeah, the NFC West is going to definitely be more tough. I see both sides with Sam, though. I see the version where Sam works out just because you are getting a younger, not that he's the same quarterback as Geno Smith, but you're getting a younger version of Geno Smith, a guy that is probably a bit more mobile.
And the poor man's Joe Burrow.
Poor man's Joe Burrow.
Like, what else were they
going
to do? Like, if the Seahawks didn't sign Sam, they were drafting Jackson Dart.
No, I think getting
round.
Sam was the only move. They were kind of backed into a corner at that point. If Geno wants $40+ million, I understand why to move off him. I see the world where Clint Kubiak is a good play caller, and you have JSN and you have Kenneth Walker, but it all depends on this offensive line. Because if they hit on 2 of their offensive linemen and all of a sudden, you have half the offensive line like, oh shit, this is decent now, Sam will be able to work out. But if you don't hit on those draft picks and Clint Kubiak isn't anywhere close to KOC and JSN doesn't have a wide receiver 2 next to him so teams can just double him and Kenneth Walker can run the ball, and Sam's not going to be able to do much.
I like the
I see
MVS
both
signing.
worlds. MVS is a good signing.
he's played solid for the Saints down the stretch. I'll say this.
All he needs to do is run down the field.
That's all he does.
That's all he needs to do.
You cannot throw away essentially an entire regular season. I say entire regular season because Week 18 was a regular season. You can't throw it all away off of 2 games. I will say those 2 games were arguably 2 of the worst of his career.
Yeah, those games cost him getting $45 million a year.
Those 2 games cost him potentially
running it back,
getting JJ traded off the team.
Yeah, those 2 games cost him a lot. I think he was very rattled. I will say the Lions game rattled on him 100%.
Rams got great
The
pressure.
Rams game, it was kind of like, holy motherfucking shit. What the hell is he supposed to do?
Yeah,
Now,
no, he was
Sean
pressured
McVay
constantly.
drastically outcoached Kevin O'Connell like very few coaches have.
Yeah, so that's why I think, the Seahawks, when you think about it, trading DK for a second, trading Geno for a third, and not having to pay them both combined 70 to 80 million, and then just pivoting, I think they still remain competitive, and they have some avenues to maybe, if they hit on some things, they're
Listen,
good.
man. Last time they made this type, I wouldn't say this type of move because it's more drastic, but when they traded Russ, everyone kind of looked around like, are you dead ass? Russ is like a borderline top 5 quarterback when he's right, and traded him at the right time because he got 2 firsts. He ended up not being able to do anything after that. So
Charles Cross is a bum.
they have a good track record of making these moves.
It's a shame that Spoon is amazing.
My hot takes. Where'd my phone go? One off the dome. I think the Broncos have the best roster in the AFC West. I think when you go position by position, you don't have to allow me. I just want to give you respect.
This is talking about the Broncos. I'm here for
Yeah,
Broncos
you don't have to
love.
allow me.
Make
I
sure we
wasn't.
keep it P
That
over
was.
here.
I wasn't trying to get in there, Riv.
He got to do a lot more to get
I wasn't
in.
trying to get inside that, but I was just. I want to give the Broncos their
Feels
credit
warm,
because
Let it be known. There's room.
Dels, I wanna give you credit for saying that because in my notes here I wrote the Broncos could win the AFC West.
Motherfucking damn.
that's
Oh,
why.
man.
That's why I didn't go that far.
guys
But
here? Are we
I
here
do
collectively?
think
You want to see it going that far? Read my hot takes, but read it in the sense of who you know who.
Bo Nix.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know who.
I was looking at Gabe Vincent.
Who's horrible tonight.
But I think the Broncos really do with these moves they made in free agency and with the draft still up where they can, address wide receiver and running back. that defense could be best in the world, man. That could be the number one defense. And that offense, we already know the offensive line is among the elites in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
We know Sean Payton is one of the best offensive minds in the NFL. It really just comes down to the weapons and how high this team can go. Because everything else they got, like, I think they have a better roster than Kansas City. But Kansas City having Mahomes and Andy Reid cancels out a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Sean
They
Payton and
canceled
Andy
out a
Reid.
lot.
Huge gap.
It's a much smaller gap than Bo and Mahomes, for
Agreed.
sure.
Wholeheartedly.
And same thing with the Chargers. You know, the Chargers have a great roster too, and they have Harbaugh and they have Justin Herbert. So it's a really tough division. But when I'm seeing just the roster, I'm not putting weight on the quarterback. Like Mahomes is worth 5 times more. Just looking at the roster, position by position, I think the Broncos got the best roster.
Yeah, I feel like that's valid. And the thing about it is that I think the Eagles kind of are changing the way people kind of look at the quarterback position in the way that, you know, how much help around the quarterback really matters when you build just that good of a team. I think it doesn't really matter if Bo Nix is not better than Mahomes, Herbert, or even Geno Smith, like individually. It only matters if the roster is better. When the Broncos played the Chiefs this past year, I'm not talking about Week 18.
I know.
The first game,
17-14.
they should have beat them. They lost off a blocked field goal. But that game, the amount of pressure they got on Mahomes that game, it made playing quarterback insufferable. So that's an advantage that they're going to have against Mahomes. We see what they did this offseason. The Chiefs did. They just got Jalen Moore. Is that going to stop Nick Bonito? I don't think so. You know, so that can very much be the swing in things and why the Broncos could win that matchup. And I think with the Chargers, we just saw the interior of the offensive line. It's not very good, and they haven't really added nothing. You know, I think the Broncos have really just bolstered every position group to, you know what? It doesn't matter if your quarterback is the 5th best of all these dudes. It just matters that you have the best offensive line. You have the best defensive line. You have one of the best secondaries there. You also, if depending on the running back they can get the best running back of them. Because if they get somebody like Moran Hampton or Ashton Genty
the bar
Falls,
is actually so low.
Yeah.
You could
Let me
get
ask you
Trevor
a
John Henderson, you'd be the best
So let me
running
ask
back.
you guys, because I'm hesitant on the idea. With the way our roster looks right now, would you trade up for Genty?
Nah.
Okay.
no, because
I'm
Amarian could be there.
I think he can be. I think Genty, though,
I'm just not
is
moving
still
up
better.
like 15
And I'm
spots
actually,
for running back.
and I'm so comfortable with the fact of if Genty's not there, if Hampton's not there, we trade up in the second round and get Travion.
Agreed.
I'm so that to me, I'm just like, there's just so many good running backs. Even somebody from, you know, he's not as known, but somebody from Miami, like Damian Martinez, who is good. He's a good player.
You guys
Dan
Caleb
Martinez
Johnson
fan.
guys?
Caleb
Or
I've seen him get
He's
a
a
lot of
good
love.
strong back. Bashal 210, you know, he's like a 3rd, 4th round guy. So there's like options for the Broncos, and it doesn't matter if the quarterbacks are better because there's just clear deficiencies with the Chargers. It's the interior offensive line. It's the receivers outside of Ladd McConkey. With the Chiefs, it's their offensive line. It's their secondary. How is it going to look? You know, outside of Trent McDuffie, that's a bit of a question mark. It's the defensive line's lack of juice outside of Chris Jones. You know, can they generate a pass rush against the Broncos? When I look at what the Raiders, Chiefs, and Chargers all have, neither of them, outside of the Raiders because of Max Crosby, have a pass rush that can consistently generate pressure off a 4-man rush against the Broncos. And we see how, listen, with the Eagles, when you have an offensive line that good, you know, your quarterback can stand back there all day and he could just throw dimes.
that's the thing about Bo. He don't take sacks.
Yeah, I think the only thing missing, like the Broncos are very much like a light version of the Eagles in the AFC. I think the only thing missing from them is the running backs. Like if they get a great running back, then we're really talking about a complete level offense.
Y'all got me thinking about, like, when is our A.J. Brown trade coming? You know what I mean? Like, Jalen Hurts got his A.J. Brown trade
Could
in
be
year
next
3.
offseason.
Could be next year.
AJ Brown.
That's what I'm saying.
Keep it going, man.
Like, I'm excited, and I definitely look forward to that moment where we decide to trade that 1st-round pick for a premier wide receiver.
Underrated loser. Forgot to mention this. T. Higgins, man. T. Higgins.
Not getting a contract.
Not only getting the contract, but playing a career year and then, like, getting the tag again after your quarterback came out and said, I'll restructure my deal for him, like, bring him back. After you seen your top dog, Jamar Chase, not get paid. You getting the tag, man. After just even throwing hints of you leaving, fans telling them that you should stay. Still getting that tag is brutal, and now you have to either stick it out this year or be disgruntled all year. That's just rough.
Is that the type of energy that if you're T, you remember that going into free agency? Like, I don't want to be a Bengal anymore.
Yeah, I don't think T is going to be a Bengal.
No, I know
if he
you've been
plays
saying
out this year. No,
He shouldn't. If I'm him, I'm not playing.
I don't
this
even
year,
think
bro.
they fucking pay him. They'll just let
I
him
think
walk.
he's getting traded. I'm telling you, he's not going to be a
So
Bengal.
you don't
I
think
don't
he
know.
plays this year with the Bengals?
No, I think he will. He will play, or else he's not going to get the contract.
No, I think he's
It'd
gonna
be-
play. But I'm
yeah.
saying,
I
do we
wouldn't
think
want
he
to.
starts the season with the Bengals? Yes.
might be a
If I'm
Bengal
him,
at
I'm
the
being
end.
There's gonna
loud,
be a
bro.
holdout.
If I'm him, I'm being loud. Get me off this team. Either pay
Pull a
me
Jimmy
or
Butler.
I'm leaving. I'm getting loud if I'm them, bro.
There's definitely going to be a holdout there.
Because I'm not letting you. You've been cheap this entire time you've been in an organization. We got Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and me. And you're not about to pay us. Nah, we're not doing
If you're
that.
not going to pay me, just let me go. The last point I mentioned about the Broncos, and we talked about this outside, was just the 3 defensive linemen on contract years: Zach Allen, JFM, and Nick Bonito. That is something that I think can also push them over the top to where if you're getting elite level season from all these guys, because they want that money,
fact.
then that can also very well push them over the top. It's going to be interesting to see what they do in the
My
draft.
other hot takes. This shouldn't be a hot take, but Chiefs aren't going to the Super Bowl. It's time.
I told
Somebody
you
else.
they wasn't winning last year.
I also have the Green Bay Packers coming in last place in the NFC North.
Okay. Now that coincides with my other hot take because I think Caleb Williams plays like a top 10 quarterback this season.
And that goes into my other hot take. Can't believe it has to be a hot take, but DJ Moore's back, baby. We're all in unison here.
So all of our hot takes correlated.
I have one.
Okay.
I have one that I was early on. The Panthers are winning division, man. The
It's the
Panthers.
year.
Not
this
over the
is-
Bucks.
This is
Bryce Young asserts himself as the best quarterback in that division.
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
I said what I said.
Oh, come on.
I'm gonna go even hotter because I said that last year, but it was kind of a funny one. I'm dead ass now. Like now, I'm
Bryce
dead
Young
serious.
is going to be the best
Not
quarterback.
that,
in that
I'm not
division
dead
this
ass about that one. I'm dead ass about the
division.
Panthers
year.
winning
Yo,
the
if he
division.
can't be better than Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield's good.
Baker
Okay.
Mayfield is really good.
If he can't be better than Baker Mayfield, I'm sorry.
Lost Liam Cohen.
I think right now, like Bryce, I'm not knocking you for your thought process because
Okay.
you want to reach levels. I think Bryce at this moment wants to put a good 16 together. He doesn't have a good 16 together.
He put
right
together
now.
a good 10 though.
Right now, he's a
did.
good calm 10 after getting
But he's
benched.
going into next year confident now.
Confident
He's going
now.
into week one. I'm the
walking
guy.
in,
Yeah, I
Bryce,
need-
my
yeah,
head's
16.
huge.
Yeah,
Has
it's
new
my
Rod
team.
Wave music dropped?
Oh,
No, we need some
that
though.
might be a boost.
But you know what's crazy? Bryce Young already has the unreleased.
That's a
Yeah,
fact. That's a
you're
fact.
right.
also
They're
he needs
friends.
another. He needs a receiver. He needs like Mike Evans.
He on the way.
Was over there. Coker's tough, but he ain't Mike Evans. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Like
hey.
They've missed on.
He ain't
They
Mike
missed on
Evans.
Mingo. Leggett
Leggett.
looks iffy.
Look at cool.
Like,
Like,
he gets
he-
separation.
Yeah, he cool.
The guy just
Yeah, he gets separation.
I like the Panthers.
And
though.
he
I
eats
really do.
raccoons.
I've been here.
Yeah, if they
does
get a
eat
couple
raccoons.
weapons,
If they do a really good in this draft coming up, I can see this team winning division. I know you like Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's a nice team. They ain't these dominant forces.
do they have their second this year? Or the Bears have it.
ooh.
I think
The Bears do.
right. So they're not their second this year.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say the Bears do.
You know
Correct.
what? This is just me telling into the future or looking into the future. I think Aaron Rodgers signs with the Vikings and he leads them to the NFC Championship, throws a game-losing interception.
You know, you're not really good at looking into the NFC North future because you said the Packers will win the Super Bowl.
But they were close to.
They actually weren't close at all.
I mean, they gave you guys a good fight. You guys
week
won Super
one.
Bowl.
Wow.
And week
You know
one,
what's crazy? Like the score says that game
It
was
wasn't close.
I never felt
You
like
never
the
watched that game.
Packers
You
had
thought
any motion.
Green Bay can do it. There was never a moment in the game where you're like Green Bay
you
got
watched
it.
that game, you were like, "Yo, Packers could do it."
It was
No,
just
it's
more
the
like
score
the
was
Eagles
close.
are bullshitting
Yeah.
right now. Like, why are you playing like shit?
Yeah, this is a question. This is not like a take I had. This is just a question that is like a hot take if you guys answer it a certain way. Is Daniel Jones starting over Anthony Richardson?
He does. AR's done.
I hope not.
And you will be 0-2 for quarterbacks.
Fuck.
Now, will I be under allegations if I'm rooting for Daniel Jones to win the job?
You know me, yes.
I'm genuine. You know,
I thought you were an AR guy. I thought you liked AR.
I like AR. I traded him off my dynasty team.
But you don't
I
like him more than
definitely
Daniel
lost the
Jones?
stock.
He said he's back.
No.
He texted
No.
me back.
if you like
no,
Daniel Jones more, I'm not stopping you.
I only like Daniel Jones for the one fact that 2022 was awesome.
But you hopped off Daniel Jones
for valid reason. He was dog shit.
There was a really nice 15 passing touchdowns.
22 total touchdowns.
22
He's so
total
nasty.
He ran for 800 total yards.
Sam Darnold had like fucking 18 more than that.
Oh, shout out to Sammy.
Sam Darnold, baby. Come on.
And
Let's
then
go.
what happened?
What do you mean?
What's his playoff one?
Oh my god.
Who did he play? The Rams. No, I think Daniel Jones, when I look at the quarterback battle, it depends on what Richardson does this offseason, like how much he
working out with
improves.
Josh Allen.
Because with Daniel Jones, if you look just at the training camp battle, if you're as a fan just watching it, they have those practices open to the public, you're going to see Daniel Jones complete more passes. Like on a down-to-down basis, he's going to complete more passes. He's going to look more steady. He's going to run the offense better. Richardson might have those more explosive plays. So I think there's a serious chance that Daniel Jones could win the job.
You think Daniel Jones was in free agency, and then the Colts called, and he was like, I could win this job.
Yes,
definitely.
I think that's why he went there.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Steichen and him, Jonathan Taylor.
Dehls, we got to talk about your scouting quarterback skills.
Dude, he hit on Lamar. He fell off on Jalen. He could have been here so high.
Trey Lance.
First of all, Trey Lance is an NA.
You told me DTR.
Oh, stop.
All he said was DTR was going to start.
I know. I just like bringing
Trey
that
Lance
one
is
up.
an NA.
You're cooked on him.
NA.
He's
got
done.
injured. He
You're
got hurt.
cooked. You're cooked.
What can you do?
Bro, you got to let that go.
He got hurt.
Who are you
cooked.
believing to have a better season if they start? Justin Fields or Daniel Jones?
Justin Fields.
Daniel Jones. It's the Jets, with all due respect.
Yeah, I would go with Daniel Jones.
Different
too.
era.
He's nose ball.
I'll go with Daniel Jones.
Yo, enough. I've been on the bias side of football. Sometimes it gets you into a slippery slope.
I'll be honest. It's fun.
We just saw what Gardner Minshew did, bro, with the Colts.
What'd
that
he do?
offense. What do you mean? He went 9-8.
And
Daniel Jones might be better than Minshew.
Isn't it just fun just to root for your team over Daniel
Not the
Jones?
Jets.
Even if you're wrong, just fucking root for him.
No.
We've gotten into screaming matches over his favorite team. I can understand not being in favor of my favorite team.
Remember you called us stupid when we didn't think you'd go over
I'm
5?
flabbergasted.
How stupid you guys are
are.
sometimes.
Mike White never got
Bro,
hurt,
it's
man.
it's the investment of it. Like
You're so red.
I've kind of for a while, like we've known Justin Fields isn't good.
Hey.
He's not bad.
We have known that.
He's
Like,
not,
are you telling
Yo,
me?
all right, no. Here's the funny thing
he
about
really
this.
isn't bad.
This has been a strong advocate against Justin Fields.
fact.
Joins my team. Obviously, I'd be a fan too. Hey, I respect the hell out of
I
that.
like Justin Fields when
runner.
he got drafted.
When he got
I want them to
drafted.
take him over
I
Zach.
understand that.
Now, Dehls, let me
and
ask
I
you-
also advocated for starting Fields over us.
You did say that last
Yes.
question. And you can on a 1 to 10.
Yes.
What number is Justin Fields?
6.
Like a 4.
Oh, yeah, like a 5.
Oh, I said 6.
What is there to be optimistic about?
Well, he's a 5 right now. It's just he's 26. He has all the physical traits. I'm not going to sit here and act like
Potential's there.
I'm like, okay, realistically, the options for the Jets. Tyrod Taylor, Justin Fields, Marcus Mariota, Carson Wentz. These were the names that were rumored. Jackson Dart.
Justin Fields.
Who would you want?
I would
No,
low-key
I
just
would
draft
want
Jackson
Justin,
Dart.
but
You're insane.
You're wasting a pick on Jackson Dart.
I got to
Nuts.
waste a first-round pick on Jackson Dart.
Bro, I wouldn't take him that high.
He's going in the first.
What if he's gone?
is he guaranteed
Jackson's
going
going
in the
first.
first?
If
Who
not,
knows?
I'll
Who
go.
knows? He's
I'll
a
go.
quarterback.
I'll get Will Howard in the third or
I
something.
mean, Will Levis was rumored to
You
go in
can
the
still
first.
get Will Howard in the third
Yo,
right now.
I heard Will Howard's day
can
was
still get him.
awful, dude.
Really?
Yeah, I heard it was terrible.
I hate
bro.
that for him.
Because you could still take a quarterback if you like Jalen Milroe in the second
Bro,
round with
would
his
you-
trades. You could take a quarterback still.
Bro, would you be excited if instead of Fields that got signed, it was Daniel Jones to the same contract?
No.
So why are you excited for Fields?
Because Fields has swag. That's really what it is.
Yeah, because Fields has swag.
He really does.
He's gonna wear the he does look nice in a jersey.
I mean, you see it with Fields. Like, I was going to say.
That's
high
the issue,
draft,
dude.
Fucking Daniel Jones taking number 6. He was taken before Justin Fields.
Yeah, Fields is the type of
different
guy that
drafts,
he's gonna chill with the dudes. He's gonna go to like the jewelry stores and buy.
but he's
some jewelry
athletic.
with
He has
them.
a big arm. You know what I mean? He breaks
did I feel
tackles.
like,
They're gonna smoke hookah on the weekends.
Why do you...
Dude, why did it feel?
What? It's just a chilling.
I don't
It's
know,
just a
man.
Did you
chilling
hear that?
environment.
That was wicked.
Does Justin Fields strike you the type of guy to be out partying all the time?
Not
He
really.
just was when he got the news that he got signed to the Jets.
He was
They
out.
were in
What's the name?
Dubai.
He was
at
with
a
Jordan
dinner.
Love. He was with Jordan Love.
I know.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
there.
He's a chill
He
guy.
was at a business
He's
dinner in
a chill
Dubai.
guy.
Bro, he's a hangout type of guy. Like Garrett Wilson and him gonna be hanging out after practice.
Can't wait. I'm ecstatic about it.
Is there a problem
Yeah.
that Luke is smoking hookah, in your opinion?
No, do what you in the
All right,
offseason.
so
do
it's
what
like
you want. In the
Daniel
season, I want you
Jones-
to lock in.
Daniel
Offseason,
Jones would have went to practice and went straight home. Justin Fields
No aura.
is
You're sick
going
of
to
me.
practice
Yo, that's
and
not
going
true.
to chill.
Daniel Jones was posted up in Hoboken. Don't lie.
Oh, he was okay. I didn't know that.
That
No,
felt
but,
targeted.
No, but listen, Justin Fields is going to
We
be
have nothing
chilling.
to say about this. Justin Fields out smoking hookah, but Daniel Jones is going straight
This felt
home.
really targeted.
Yeah, he's gonna go with Garrett Wilson to the barbershop and
This
get
really
braided.
feels targeted. Now we're adding Garrett.
This is getting nuts.
Barbershop.
Justin Fields, he's going to prove you wrong,
Get
bro.
get retwisted. What is it?
Yeah,
gonna prove you wrong.
Yeah. No, they are really good. Hey, listen, if he proves me wrong, I'll root for him. But
wanna
I'm not.
hear this.
I'm not prematurely buying into
I'm not
Fields.
asking you to buy in. All I'm asking you to do is say he's going to be better than Daniel Jones. That's all I'm asking you to do.
That's not asking.
That's all I'm asking you to do.
I wouldn't say
But that's
asking
Pittman
the
and Josh Downs, and you got Jonathan Taylor, and you got Shane Steichen calling plays versus who's the Jets OC?
Eggstrand,
bro.
whatever it is.
Come on, bro.
Come
on, bro.
I'm going to read you the stat line. You tell me what you think the score is. Okay. 45, 11, 3, 2 steals, 1 block.
This is Luka.
That is Luka. What would you guess the
Luka's
score?
playing.
100 to 116.
125 to
Bucks.
110.
97 to 120.
Okay. Lakers have 105. We're losing 105 to 126.
They're fucking you guys.
We got bent over and plowed.
But Luka played well.
He dogged.
That's fucking
No.
hilarious.
To be fair, the players that we have
I
out
get
there
it.
with him are
So that's-
disgusting.
Is Reeves playing?
Reeves did play. He had 28.
Oh, there you go.
An efficient 28.
So this might be garbage time buckets.
No, they were killing beforehand.
Oh.
No,
So
they're
how-
out
how-
the game now.
How did they end up?
Bro, we have nobody playing. Rui's not playing. Braun's not playing. Jackson Hayes not playing. Yo,
Your schedule coming up too is
It's crazy.
nasty.
It's crazy.
You guys don't
It's
care about
nasty.
seeding.
dude, but
They don't have a choice.
do you
I'll
see
be
who's
honest.
day to day now?
Braun.
All of them. Rui, Hayes, and Braun.
That might be capped though. You know, sometimes they put
Day to day could be like 5 days.
But they're dealing with something. That's what it shows.
Yeah, KPJ had 22.
Ew.
Gary Trent had 16. Brook Lopez had 23. Giannis had 24. Dame had 22. Bro, they just killed us.
I actually made a bet with Speedy
Kuzma's mad.
a couple days ago when I went to go get my hair cut. I told him about Justin Fields going to the Jets, and he was fucking elated.
He knows ball.
He didn't know, so I was breaking the news. He was like, "What?
crying.
Y'all got him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yo, man, that's good, bro."
He's probably
Like,
hyped because he's about to come to the shop and get a cut.
he was like, when has anybody ever given Justin Fields a chance? Nobody's ever given him a chance. Like,
Bears gave him a chance.
he told me that like after
Bad
the
regime.
season, I'm gonna regret not liking the move. He said, "Watch, during the
Sounds
season,
like a couple
you're
people
gonna
are
start
in line
liking
here,
it."
man. I don't know.
And I was just telling him, "Listen, I don't really think so. I don't really
Just be better
I
than
don't,
Daniel Jones,
I don't
bro.
talk. I don't
That's
talk
just better
like
than Daniel
time to
Jones.
throw stats with like speed or nothing." But he was just like, "No, you're gonna like him, bro. He brings like good vibes to the locker room. He's gonna do his thing." And I'm just like, "Listen, it's not football related stuff, man. I don't care." But he thinks Justin Fields is gonna be really good, so. Maybe he's right. We're moving on to the NBA portion of the podcast. And before we get into the topic, just a quick shout out to PrizePicks. You guys can use our code PAS50, play $5 to get $50. It helps out the podcast a lot. And as of recently, I just won on PrizePicks with the Taco Tuesday thing. Anthony Edwards, like 22.5 points. I think the best thing that Prospect does is just they always have like these deals and these
Daily
specials.
picks,
Like the Taco Tuesday thing is pretty cool. Sometimes they have a free square. Most of the time, I should say. So if you guys want to play on Prospects, support the podcast, use code PAS50. And a lot of these players that we're about to name, this segment is presented by PrizePicks. It's the NBA stock market report. Who is rising and who is falling. And, rising comes with points or doing something on the court, whether it's rebounds, assists,
Dehls knows all
points,
about rising.
steals. Yes, it's all about that. So, let's do our players. Let's list them out. I know me and Riv, we kind of did it like in team format. Like we have like point guards, shooting guards and stuff.
Wish you
We
would've
didn't
told me
all
that.
have to do it the same way.
Did you actually do that?
Oh, you didn't
think
do it?
so.
Okay, I did that shit. So let's go with the stock market report. Let's
told
talk
him that, but I don't know why I
about
told
let's
him.
talk about the rising players.
At the point guard position, it's got to be Gabe Vincent. His stock was all the way down.
Nuts.
His stock was all the way down after last season missing a ton of game. He was injured. He was hurt. Definitely wasn't the Gabe Vincent we thought we were getting. But now he's back. Now, he never was this prolific three-point shooter. I don't know where people kind of had that in their head like, oh, in Miami, he was a sniper, but he was this great
It's that
defensive
playoff run,
player.
man.
For no
Celtics
doubt,
series,
definitely
yeah.
was. But he shot 37% career high in Miami. This season, at a calm 34 after last year, which was in the teens, hey, we'll take 34. But what moves me is that defense. He really has been a great jolt of energy for us on the defensive side. I really can go on and on about role players for the Los Angeles Lakers, but when we're talking about point guard and we're talking about role players, I got to show love to Gabe.
And last
even
year
though he
was
struggled this year.
Last year was a
Tonight.
recession. This year it's like $1. Now he's up like to $1.50.
Yeah.
Oh no! If it was at $1, no, we're back up. If it was at $1, no, we're at a calm like 4 or 5.
So, some good returns. Let's get into some heavy hitters, man. I feel like we disrespected this topic by starting off with Gabe.
I'll start one who I think is maybe the biggest riser of them all, Tumani Kamara. he has to be amongst all of these players.
Are you
one of
salty,
the
Riff?
one of the highest risers. This is a guy who went from a throw-in piece to a trade to last year getting some burn, but no one really
He did his
talking about
homework.
him.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with Kamara?
No, Riv's gonna say Tumani's my guy. Like, I didn't know Dehls really
No,
knew that.
honestly, him saying it really came from left field. I didn't think he was going to name
He
him.
knows ball.
He's been great this year.
not that he doesn't know. I
This
just didn't
this
think
is
it was
somebody
coming.
that could be on an all defensive team. We know how great he is defensively. He's shooting about 38% from three.
Left-handed.
He's fantastic, man. Like, this is somebody that went from you weren't thinking about him to now he's a key piece to this
Hell
Trailblazers
yeah.
score.
No doubt. Staying on the Portland Trailblazers, though, let's show some love to Scoot Henderson. He's just all-around efficient, way more from his rookie season to sophomore season. Still that same level of playmaker, showing a little bit of intensity on the defensive side. Maybe not averaging as many points, but really it's a matter of how clean his opportunities have looked. Shooting 37% from three, 43% from the field, but doing it on less minutes as well. Just looking a lot more cleaner as he progresses in his young NBA career. So got to show some love.
My
to
apologies.
Scoot.
Kamara was 39% after the All-Star break. It's like 34 in the season 35.
I was very stuck
11
on
games, that's firm.
which Blazer I wanted to mention because Tumani Kamara is up there, Scoot Henderson is up there, Shaedon Sharp is also up there.
No,
I think
shout.
like those are the three players that their stock has rose a lot for the Blazers this year, and they're like cornerstone pieces for them moving forward.
Yeah, I will say, because I had Scoot on my list, so I was doing some homework. His efficiency has improved. It's not amazing, but it's improved.
It's
He
like
went from
55% true shooting.
He's still not a good finisher.
Yeah, exactly. He was 38% from the field last year, 43% this year. But at the rim, he was 46% last year, which was god awful. 55% this year, which is
improvement.
better. But post All-Star break, 15 a game, 38% from three. So he is showing some progress this last quarter of the year.
Brandon Miller. Got to catch up.
I think Riv, like we might have the same stock rising. I think this is pretty unanimous for me.
I was
this
gonna name them all.
This was the first guy I thought of. It was Cade Cunningham.
Okay. I didn't have
think-
him up here.
Okay,
I didn't have him, but yes,
I understand.
definitely.
I thought his stock like rose the most of like.
I thought we
any
weren't
player.
doing obvious players. That's on me.
No, it's fine. Like his stock has definitely
Ron,
rose
can
the
we say
most
that?
out of
Yes.
anybody in the league.
Yeah,
So
It was tough because I wanted to, I made my team. My first team, I wanted to put Tyrese Halliburton on there, but I was like, I can't do it over Cade. So Cade was like my first team point guard starter.
You should just go through your list,
Yeah.
dude. I'm interested.
My second team was Tyrese Halliburton, point guard starter.
oh,
Let
you
me-
did a first team second
Yeah,
team.
I did it that
I'm
way. I
crying.
was just like, I had a lot of names, so I was like, let me put it into positions. So my first team is Cade Cunningham at the 1, Trey Murphy at the 2, even though he's like a tweener. Jaden McDaniels.
Hi, Jaden.
That stock is
yes, his stock is rising right now. Zion Williamson at the 4.
Have to have
I
him.
think his stock has, he's playing at an elite level. I think
my
he's
goat.
third in PER right now amongst all power forwards.
He's averaging 25 career high in rebounds. You know what he
Yes.
does as a playmaker. Defense, sleep on it. It's been good.
Yeah, like if he's staying with the Pelicans long term and they have like a top pick, then I think it makes him really dangerous. My center is Ivica Zubats. I think like he's playing like an all-star level. Like he's so close to there. Then my second team, I have Hallie. My shooting guard, I have Josh Giddey. But thinking about it now, it could be Dyson Daniels. I think he deserves a shout out too. My small forward, it was Shaedon or Tumani Kamara between those guys. My power forward was Evan Mobley. And then my center was Jalen Duren. I think Jalen Duren, the two-man action between him and Cade, the defense has improved for him as well. That would just be like my first two teams is just the players that I think have came into the season in like a different tier. And then this year they have like walked into a tier of where they're like a cornerstone piece, or if, like in Evan Mobley's and Cade's case, they're like a superstar, and Tyrese is getting back to, the same PR resume he had before.
Only gripe with your second team would be Jalen Duren over Jackson Hayes. I think Jackson Hayes legitimately deserves to be over Jaren Duren for the sole
Yeah.
fact.
Jalen Durr.
Thank you very much. I think,
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yeah,
am I saying Jaren
Yeah,
Duren?
you're saying
You know
Jaren.
that is that's a baseball player,
Oh.
but that's a mistake of mine.
Is it really?
Yeah, he plays
Red
center
Sox.
field for the Red Sox. He's actually amazing. Jackson Hayes went from a guy that people thought shouldn't even be in the NBA potentially, like a legitimate negative, to a legitimate great defensive player with a legitimate presence on the offensive side because of Luka, but mainly as just
Vertical
a strong
threat.
vertical
Yeah.
threat. Exactly.
he
I
was
think,
good.
and I think Duren, for what we had expected, I think that's the only reason why I would definitely favor Jackson Hayes in this
Yeah.
conversation. But I get it. The Pistons,
No, that's a great shout
Yeah.
because Jackson Hayes he's been starting for them, and when he plays over 25 minutes, what's their record?
We don't lose.
Yeah, I think they're undefeated when he plays over 25 minutes. So that's a great shout out. I think a lot of centers are showing out. Really impressed by Zubac though. I think
Zubac's first team guaranteed.
As of recently, has really taken his game to another level.
Yeah, Zubac's my dog, man.
He is your dog.
I have a lot of players, so I'll just run through them.
Yes.
Stock up players. Ty Jerome's definitely up there. He's going to earn himself a big contract this offseason. Just a guy who plays his own pace, really efficient, really nice, has a really nice floater, which I think is dope. That helps him get downhill because he's not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy, but he has good size. He's able to use it.
He's great from mid-range, too.
Yeah, exactly. He has great speed up, speed down ability where he can slow down, speed up. Like, it's really good for a guy who's not that fast. Aaron Wiggins is also another guy who I think is playing out of his mind as of 2025, especially for OKC, a team that is a weird team because you're not always going to get a shit ton of opportunities with SGA pretty much dominating the ball, and you have JW, you have Chet. But Aaron Wiggins has shown he can put the ball on the floor, he can hit big-time shots, and he's really good on defense. Max Christie is also another guy I threw some love for, especially over the last 5-10 games for the Lakers. He was playing really well. Got traded to Dallas. He's really found his groove, found his stride with the Dallas Mavericks. Glad they have him because he's one of the bright spots of a really dog shit trade. Jaden Ivey was a guy I put on here because even though he did get hurt earlier, I have to acknowledge the shoot and jump from the mid-range and the three-point shot, especially in the catch and shoot department. He really started to learn to play with Cade Cunningham, especially in a year, coming off a year where Monty Williams completely destroyed his confidence, completely put him in a very terrible situation. Jalen Duren was another guy I had up here just because, like you mentioned, the rim protection has got better, the defensive efforts got better, him just being better as a player. He's really getting his stride with this team, a team where they're not, like, they've been waiting for these young players to kind of mold together, and unfortunately Ivy did go down, but Jalen Duren starting to get it together. Dyson Daniels is another guy who I think deserves some love just because I've always liked him, but he couldn't find his footing with the Pelicans. And now with the Hawks, his offense is still a work in progress, but defensively, he's so damn elite. He's probably going to make an all-NBA team, all-defensive team, probably first team because the amount of steals he racks up is truly mind-boggling. These are on-ball, off-ball. And then a couple notable names like Jordan Poole. I think his stock has gone up just from him having an efficient year in Washington. Trey Murphy's a guy whose stock has gone back up. Darius Garland is another guy whose stock has gone up, especially just I feel like he's a tier above where he was just because of how efficient he is from everywhere on the floor and how much better as a scorer he's been. I know his numbers don't show it, but just the efficiency of how he does it and how clutch he's been. He's probably been their clutchest player statistically this year. He's been amazing in that department. Derek White, for me, I'll put him on this list, and Halliburton, I'll put on this list just because of the way I viewed those guys. Derek White I viewed as a low-end role player, but now he's really looking at to be in that stride of maybe he's not an all-star, a medium-tier all-star player, but definitely a low-end guy just in terms of a do-it-all type of vibe. And then Halliburton, just for how I viewed him as a player, and I think he's really growing into that pure point guard. That and definitely he's not the same as these other high-end scoring guards where they can go get one on a consistent basis.
Calm down over there, buddy. Calm down.
How he playing so good he can't even hate.
No.
He's playing so
He's
good.
moving nasty.
I told you I'm on positive vibes, man.
I know, bro. I'm proud
Positive vibes is there. And
now apologize to Vando.
We'll wait till the
TBD?
playoffs for that. Yeah, that's
His offense has been good.
He cracks those minutes up. We'll talk.
Jalen Clark.
And then my last guy, John Morant, man. The stock is back. I dropped my phone again. The stock is back, man. Just from him playing like shit to now he's playing really, really great.
He saw your tweet. He said this
not
can't
only
be.
did he saw my tweet, he realized he has a mid-range. I think that's what's the difference in these last 9-10 games. You actually have a mid-range jumper that you can use so that you don't always have to go to the rim. The three-pointer is fucked. I'll admit it. It's not good. But the mid-range, to get into his floater, to get into the little bump and then the backhand, like the mid-range is there along with the finishing ability. And he's always been an elite passer. So, yeah, those are my stock.
Another guy I'd like to show some love to, DeAndre Hunter. I know we've listed every single Cavalier. DeAndre Hunter, I know he was averaging almost damn near 20 points. It was like 18 on the Hawks, but still came to the Cavs, shooting 50% from the field, 50% from three, on damn near 15 a game. He has been unbelievable for them, as an amazing addition for them. Christian Brown is another guy that I want to give some love to. One of the best role players that the Nuggets do have. Probably the best, unless you call MPJ a role player, which he probably is. But regardless, Christian Brown, what he brings on the defensive side, how energetic he is on the offensive side. And Kobe White, I'm surprised because, again, the stock was down beginning of the season. He's definitely started to cook up recently.
Giddy.
Pongaro's another guy that comes to mind. But you mentioned Zion. That's just a guy that I have to give nothing but praise to. A guy that gets nothing but slander because jokes are greater than facts in a lot of people's eyes. Last 20, he's averaging over 25 a game. He's averaging a career high in rebounds. And you know what he brings to you as a playmaker. That's probably his most underrated trait, but I love to bring it up because that's not something that you think about when you talk about Zion Williamson. You think he has this in his bag? But again, and also the defense for him, I want to give him some love too because in a team that really just lacks juice and consistency because of all the injuries that they've had, he's really made it a point of emphasis to go above and beyond. And
He's getting fucked by Paolo right now, though.
No, the Magic game had gotten out of hand quickly, no doubt.
Like, I think Zion is playing at a borderline superstar level. Like, if we're just looking at his numbers and the way he's playing, there are very few players that are playing better than him.
It's just legitimate that when you go talent for talent with Zion and just ability to go out there and dominate games, there are not 13 to 15 players that do it as well or as high of a level as Zion Williamson. And I understand the injury stuff. It obviously is more than fair. He has 3 seasons of being healthy. That is definitely a genuine concern. But it's unfair to just judge his game based off that because when he's on the court, he's special. Last year, he played 70 games. The year that he played 61 games, the year after the COVID season, he averaged 27 on 60% from the field. He was amazing. We've seen him have, although it's not a legitimate playoff game, but in a playoff type game against the Los Angeles Lakers, his first game, he had 40 points before going down with injury. Who knows what happens if he stays healthy? We know what he is when he's on the court. We can't allow what happens when he's off the court to cloud our judgment on who he actually is.
Yeah, when he's healthy, he's a dog. It's just really the injury concerns are the only thing that have ever held me back with Zion. Because when he's on the court, I mean, there's, like you said, 15 players. That's probably generous. Like when he's right and he's healthy, he damn near took down the Lakers a couple years ago. The only other 2 names I'll mention, I think it's only 2. I think Franz's stock is definitely up. I feel like after last season, especially the playoffs last year, where it was Paolo going crazy and Franz does not have a great game, or excuse me, a great series efficiency-wise, this year it's been the opposite. Paolo's really been the one showing, although he's been playing a lot better these last couple of weeks. But for the most part, Franz has been their best player this year. He's averaging damn near 25 a night. The three-point shooting is still bad, but from the corner, 44%, which is, a pretty decent mark. And the only other name I think I had was
Pam Pritchard.
No, Jalen Johnson. Before the injury, Jalen Johnson's stock was super high. He was averaging 19, 10, and 5, potentially last all-star spot type of guy. But, of course, the injury derailed the season.
I feel like to round out this list, Quentin Grimes mentioned must be involved with the Sixers. He really wants a contract. Yeah,
Najee's stock is definitely up. I should have showed him some love.
Dehls, how do you feel about this? Because when I was doing this list, I was just writing names and I think amongst the top 10 players, I think Tatum's stock might be the most up. I think it's at a better place than it was last year.
Probably.
SJ's stock is very much up, but I think Tatum performing in primetime games this year and playing at an elite level in those games, I think that's rose his stock a lot to where if we have a playoff run with him doing this, he will be in that conversation.
Do you know whose stock is actually up of top 10 players? Steph Curry.
Yeah, as of recently,
his
absolutely.
stock is definitely the most up out of all the top 10 guys.
Yeah, he went from like a guy who you don't know if he can carry a team to a deep playoff run anymore to like you feel confident he can.
Honestly, LeBron's stock's up too,
and that's a fact.
LeBron was a player. Like I feel like last season people were like, yeah, like he's still top 10. We'll give him the respect, but I mean, I don't think anyone thought he was going to have a top 5 All NBA first team season.
Clears KD. Clears KD.
Yeah, he does.
Of top, now this is an interesting conversation because obviously we're going to get into the players that stocks are down. Of the top 10 players,
Embiid.
Oh, that's like
outside of Joel Embiid. That's the obvious. Outside of Joel Embiid, whose stock has taken the biggest hit? Is it just guaranteed Luka?
Luka, I think, has taken a hit. Guys, yeah. I think Anthony Davis has taken a hit.
Kevin Durant, or is he one that we contemplate?
KD, I feel like the most. Like from an on-court perspective, like just watching basketball and how he's playing.
He hoops.
Yes, but like when you
just
talk about like all the intangibles and stuff.
Then, like Curry jumped him, I think. LeBron jumped him. If you had those guys behind him. But I don't think it's KD. I just think other guys are outperforming what we thought of them.
Jalen Brunson or KD right now? Not
Brunson.
Not even trolling. I'm being genuine.
KD.
Like easy, you don't think about it.
That's super
KD's still
close.
playing at an elite level.
He is, but
Yes.
so is Brunson.
Yeah.
And efficient.
and
the
KD's efficient
playmaking.
too.
That's his middle name.
Just Jalen Brunson down the stretch, being the clutchest player in basketball, holds a lot of weight for me.
and his playmaking
fair.
leap. That's really what gets me going.
I see
take
why you
KD.
want to say KD.
I get it.
Yeah, I'd take
I
KD
understand.
still.
I wouldn't be mad
Yeah,
if you took
it's
KD. I would not be mad at all. But they're probably like the 8th and 9th best players, something like that.
Speaking about players whose stock is falling, kind of like the U.S. economy right now.
Okay.
Bless you.
Guys getting real political.
Political.
Getting
Recession.
political on
Political.
Twitter recently,
We're
man.
in
No,
a
he has
recession
been. I
right now.
respect it. I don't mind people
So-
getting political.
My team is actually like, I think if like I built this team in 2K, I think we'd like have like a top 3 seed. My point guard is Jamal Murray. I think it's down right now.
He's been playing better.
He's been playing better, but I think whenever the Nuggets lose, it's like that second guy usually doesn't step up for Jokic. And after last year's playoff run, you kind of have more question marks about, okay, was it just a fluke like the years that he showed us in the playoffs, or is he that guy?
I think you feel a bit better about Jamal Murray today than you did when you lost Game 7.
Yeah, I
against
feel like you
the
feel a bit
Wolves.
better, but I feel like overall, I think the stock is just down.
I only had one player on my stock down,
I have 2.
Three.
and
or
I
four.
told you guys who it was. Is he on your list?
I don't. Yeah, he is.
He
actually.
is?
Yes,
Okay,
he's my
then go
starting
ahead.
small forward, Paul George.
Oh, that's not who I have.
Oh, it's not.
No.
Paul George is my starting small forward. I think his stock is probably the most down of anybody.
Agreed.
My starting shooting guard, because I skipped that, is Devin Booker. I think his stock is down right now.
Crazy because he's still averaging a boatload of points.
Yeah, but it's just the
empty.
points look awesome,
Agreed.
but you
It's
watch
empty.
them, you're just like, he's not making game winning plays.
I agree.
My power forward, kind of under the radar guy because he's on a team that sucks, but Laurie Markkinen.
That's a fact.
I mean, like it's just like
so
night
quiet
and
this
day.
year.
He was
just no one's
so
paying attention
elite.
to the fucking
Yeah.
Jazz.
People were used to like. I used to see tweets of him constantly, like, "Yo, oh my god, this guy's like so good. He's so underrated."
was.
He got his bag.
Yeah, and then like he's just
Shout out
like
to him.
he's just like a regular guy now.
Can't believe they gave that.
And then the center, I had to round out my starting 5, and I didn't have another starting 5. I just had 2 players after that. But it's Wendell Carter Jr. is my
over
starting
Joel
center.
Embiid.
Yes,
Interesting.
I think Wendell dropping
He's
to
been terrible.
21% from 3 this
He's
year.
been terrible.
Like he went from a good starting center to like he is gonna get replaced.
I think
he's
injuries
a
have
backup.
completely ruined his career, sadly. It's just every single
Yeah.
season rehabbing, getting back, and working back to being in game shape. It's caught up to him.
And then my last 2 players I had was KCP as shooting guard.
Horrible.
And I felt terrible about this, especially after last night. But it's still Mikal Bridges.
Yeah.
Even after the game winner, I think his stock
That
is
shot
down.
was butter.
It
So he
was.
took that 3 and won double overtime.
Now, without Brunson, the stock
many
is
minutes.
rising right now. But
kinda how it goes,
he
Mikal.
has to be aggressive when Brunson plays.
You think Tibbs is just protecting Mikal with his comments after the game?
What did he say?
Well, you saw the report that came out that Mikal Bridges talked to Tibbs about the starters playing less minutes. Tibbs got asked after the game about it, and he said, "Me and Mikal have never had that conversation."
Maybe they haven't. I don't know.
I'm going to trust Tibbs.
That didn't get reported for no reason, but it's also New York, so that could have got reported.
I'm
for,
actually
like,
not going to trust Tibbs. I think
wrench
Tibbs is smarter
to
than
throw
that
in
to
team
let that
chemistry.
go out to the public and be like, no, that actually was a genuine. No, you're going to keep things in house. That's what
I
you
agree.
should do. I think that's what Mikhail should have done too.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows how that leaked?
I only have a couple of trending down guys. You hit on almost all of them. Paul George is an easy one. KCP is an easy one. Embiid's probably the biggest one.
Easy.
The only other one, role player wise, was Terry Rozier.
Yeah, he fell
a
off.
good
a
one.
cliff.
Terry
He's not
was
good at basketball.
he was putting up numbers on some like really not competitive teams, of course.
No, he's
but
ass.
but from 2021 to 2024, he was giving you 20 and 5 a night, 44% from the
Fraudulent.
field, 37% from 3. This year, he's giving you 11 points a game,
I think
40%
those
from the field,
allegations
30%
are true.
from 3.
He might
has
be
been
guilty.
He has
That's
been
how
really
bad
bad.
he is.
And
Yo, dude,
as a Terry Rozier fan,
I
it
was
broke my
watching
heart.
the Heat the other day. Yo, he's dead ass whack.
Bam Adebayo started to save his legacy because he was going to be on my stock down.
You know who's another
Thank
guard
God, because watching Rozier is rough, bro.
who just disappeared from the radar of breakout players? Is Andrew Nemhard.
Yeah.
Tracks.
He's been horrible. That's your guy.
I mean,
Yes,
was the game last night,
Unfortunate.
2 nights ago against the
Unfortunate.
Bucks?
Yeah.
He missed the open 3. He
Lock
missed
it
the
on the
free
Pacers,
throw.
man.
He was struggling.
Stock
Rozier
up,
likes it.
Benedict Mathurin. He's been cooking when he's been
He
healthy.
is playing
He's been
well.
cooking. My only player that I have on stock down is one of my guys, Jalen Brown. Jalen Brown, I still think, is really good at basketball. This year, the 3 ball has been so atrocious, shooting 31%. The issue is he shoots a lot of them. This is obviously a part of the Boston Celtics offense, and you know he's going to get downhill. You know he's still going to get his. The defense is still there, but It's the inconsistency on a night in, night out basis. It's the games that he has outside of the Cavaliers versus the big teams that he goes out there and he's not the most consistent. I say the Cavs because I thought he had an amazing game versus the Cavaliers, him both and Tatum. But again, it's just the lack of consistency that I've seen from him this season. And it's a season that it's supposed to be the most confident that you see the Boston Celtics. You're coming off a championship. This should be the most relaxed that both him and Tatum should be, especially after reaching the mountaintop. You see it from Tatum to a certain extent. Tatum seems more calm. He seems like he's not out there trying to prove anything. He's just out there hooping, and he's doing that at a high level and trying not to do too much. He's succeeding. I think Jaylen Brown has just been the consistency factor for me that I know he's better than what he's put forward. He's been a player that you look at and is one of the more dominating at his position. Again, I just think that there's been a lack of consistency on his side, and I hope that come playoff time we start to see that JB again.
It'll be interesting to see come playoff time because when teams get in these 7-game series, are they going to be willing to help off of Jaylen Brown? Like I think regardless, Drew Holiday gets helped off of, that's just the weakest shooter we have, especially this year. But if Jaylen Brown's not going to be able to hit threes too, that's another guy you'll be able to help off of because right now, like Jalen's shooting those threes, it just doesn't look right and hasn't been going in either. So it's just like another little kink in the armor that when you're preparing game plan in a 7-game series, like in the regular season, it's like, oh shit, Jaylen Brown, this guy, there's all NBA, all-star, we got to close out hard. But when you're in a 7-game series, it's probably going to be easier to look at those, tendencies and help off of them.
The good thing about that is for you guys, which obviously we know you guys are as a 3-point shooting team, the thing is you're most likely going to have multiple shooters on the court with him at any moment in time. Yeah. So if it is a lineup, let's say if Jaylen Brown, you get into the bench unit of Horford, I say that where, of course, KP's in this situation.
They usually play Jalen with the starters and Jason with the bench
which makes sense because Tatum is definitely the better of the two to
Brown's
do so.
Usually out there with Porzingis and D. White.
Yeah, Drew, it does not, Drew also has been struggling too from three. That's one that could be a candidate for stock down, but what he brings you on the defensive side.
My stock down players, I got 3 players, man. I don't even know how y'all didn't mention this guy. One is Scotty Barnes, bro. Scotty Barnes is 100% a stock down player.
He's like top 5 in PER.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck about the PER
stats.
I really like PER is a funny stat to me. It just if you paid attention to Scotty, man, the allure of Scotty, the idea of Scotty as a top 5 pick. This is a real idea that's kind of been outside of Toronto fans. Kind of been dropping. I think Scotty's situation is not the best also. I can also give that credit. I don't know what Toronto is building over there, but they don't have an established, they have Brandon Ingram, who's their best one-on-one scorer, their best scorer in general. But there's no real foundation to build around. I think Scotty's a guy you build with. I don't think he's a guy you build around. I think you need somebody to truly build a foundation of as a franchise player. I think Scotty could be your 3rd best player on a championship team. He's your Swiss Army knife, your jack of all trades, your go-to gadget, but he's not the number 1 or number 2 guy. He's not the best playmaker in key situations. His shooting is falling off a cliff. His ball handling is tricky. You really can't play him at the 1. Defensively, he's great. I'm not going to say he's not, but I think he's more used as 70% defensive energy and then 30% offensive energy. Right now, it's kind of the opposite because of what Toronto needs. And I don't want to say it's all his fault too because they haven't built the best situation around him. But again, his skill set I don't think is primarily for that of being a franchise player. Another guy for me is Alperen Sengun. I know the Houston Rockets are playing really well. But I don't know if he can be their best player. I don't know if he can be somebody you build the team around. He's not a great finisher. And for a big man who primarily camps around the paint, you would like them to be. And his footwork is really good. And, it's not something he doesn't have any really he doesn't have bad post game. But I do think sometimes he's not as strong enough at the rim as you want him to be. He doesn't make a lot of contested layups. And the jumper still isn't on a consistent basis. And I think for Sengun, I think he's a fine defender. This year he's been, a fine defender. But can he be your long-term center in terms of rim protector and your offensive hub? In a playoff series specifically, I don't know. Granted, I give him the benefit of the doubt too. Situation isn't great around him. But I think defensively, that situation helps him a lot. And offensively, they have a lot to figure out. And my 3rd guy, I feel like J-Dub definitely is getting the stock down a little bit.
Whoa.
Just because.
Dude, he's been balling.
I think J-Dub.
You're just picking all-stars.
Well, because stock, as a role player, I think it's different. I think as a role player, KCP, yeah, he's playing like shit this year. his stock's down, but Orlando's ass. You know what I'm saying? I think for these three guys, like stock down, stock up really matters. Like for J-Dub, I think he made the All-Star game.
I probably just had 20 on 100% field goal.
Yeah, I don't care.
7 for 7. Stop.
Yeah.
It was 100%.
No, he was. They played Phoenix, right?
Yeah.
Mason Plumlee, right? Yeah.
We praised Jokic for 30, 20, and 20. But
You did. I didn't say anything about the game.
7 for 7.
I'll say this: your three guys.
Well, I didn't finish.
No, they're not.
You're talking about J-Dub.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, Johnson. That is crazy.
I don't think so. Like he made the All-Star game, right? But we all sat here and said we don't know if he was an All-Star this year legitimately. And he did play well the other day, but I just feel like every time there's a big game, there's a big moment. You look at the box score, you watch the game, you think, yeah, SJ did his thing, or SJ showed up. And then you look at J-Dub and you're like, I feel like he left a lot on the table. You know,
I can understand that.
In the game versus the Nuggets, though, when SGA and him and Jokic
J-Dub played great.
In the second half, he was one of the main reasons they were able to pull away.
But I feel like this year I've seen him more or less in big time games. I don't think he's
like most of the season. You don't view him in the same way you viewed him last year.
Nah, or especially this summer. Like this summer, we definitely expected him to take a massive leap, you know. And I don't think he's taking a massive leap. I think he's taking a semi-okay leap. I think he still has ways to go as a ball handler, as a secondary creator, you know, as a passer. I think defensively, that's where he really makes his money. And in the mid-range, he's a really versatile defender, a guy who can, you know, at spurts anchor the 5 and go to the 4, be the 3, be the 2. You know, but I still think there's still something we're waiting for in J-Dub to take that big leap. Like SGA I feel like has taken another leap in his game. I still think we're waiting for that on J-Dub.
Let me say this. I'm not going to agree with you. I think that post All-Star break, he has been dominant. He's shooting 44% from 3. He's shooting 48% from the field, and that's on 6 attempts from 3 as well. I think that Chet Holmgren being back obviously is a big part as to why he's been successful on the offensive side. Obviously, less attention being put towards him. I think that your point about him in big games, it's valid. It is fair. I've seen him for a majority of this season have to be the number 2. This is in year 3 also. Let's keep that in mind. This is year 3. He still was an all-star, albeit were there some that could have been in conversation to be in his position? Yeah, that's definitely a point to be made, but he also is the number 2 on the best team in the Western Conference. He is, before the All-Star break, still a pretty efficient basketball player, 45% from the field, 36% from 3, could be a percent off on the field goal percentage, still giving you 22 a night. But post All-Star break, he's been locked in. So that's the only reason why I go and I really want to push back on that.
I'm talking about the totality of the season, not 11 games out the season.
Agreed with you, but again, prior to the All-Star break, he still was
playing
good basketball player.
He was playing good.
I wouldn't call it stock down,
Stock
though.
just might be even.
We expected J-Dub to take a leap, right? We expected J-Dub to walk into a different tier.
We expected Chet to be healthy.
But I think we still view J-Dub in the same way we view him last year.
I think when the playoffs ended last year and where we stand right now, I don't think there's much of a difference in J-Dub one way or the other.
I
think that's the problem.
Until the playoffs come around, though, I don't think he can really do much.
But you're thinking of it as stock down is just him going from where he was last year to this year. You just admitted you view him the same as you did coming off last year. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a step down because we're not supposed to view him in the same way we view him last year, especially as a young player. You're on one of the best teams in the league. You're supposed to ascend to another level.
It's the offense that you think about, but we can't. We never. When do we really talk about J-Dub's defense?
Let me ask you
like his defense is some of the best in the league.
But I don't think that. But I don't think we
for being a premier scorer, he is one of the best defenders.
He's one of the best two-way players in the league.
Well, you kind of changed the.
No, agreed. Yeah, but even regardless, he is still one of the better perimeter defenders.
So let me ask you something. He
is pretty good. I ain't gonna disrespect him.
If you put in $100 into the J-Dub stock last year, what number would it be at right now?
You'd probably be at like 115.
I was gonna say 108.
I was kind of gonna go like 103.
We view Chet, even though he didn't play this much, we view Chet differently to how we view him last year. Right now,
well, I think the only thing with Chet is the injuries.
That's what I'm saying. But in terms of just him on the court, what we've seen on the court, we view him differently to how we viewed him last year.
I don't know if I feel that way.
I feel a lot better about Chet today than I do last year.
Chet has been elite this year.
With J-Dub, it's not the same
He was amazing last year.
Yeah, but this year the offense is elite that he's taking. Initiating the playmaking.
It's not a consistent night in, night out thing, though.
It's pretty not in the game.
But to start the year, he got hurt.
He's still
coming back.
It was the 3-game start that he had that had everybody with it in their hand, like, oh my God, we're getting this Chet breakout. And then he kind of went back to the teen scoring, which is fine because he provides you all NBA defense. But then he got hurt. Obviously, we miss him for a good portion of the season, but his offensive scoring output, it varies.
Yeah, we're also talking about 11 games since he's been back.
100%. But like in those 11 games,
2-3 month
that's
injury.
where we've seen J-Dub really take another step offensively.
Yeah, I know, but like in those 11 games, Chet's minutes, sometimes they face bad teams and they're not playing him that much.
100%.
And, you know, like how many games since he's been back has he played over 30 minutes?
But that's why I say that. And I'm not here to shit on Chet. I just mean, so it's not been enough of a sample for me to be like, offensively, I know he's 30 times better than he was last year, because there were moments last year where he flashed like he did this season. It's just he's just not been available for me this year.
Yeah, I get it. It's also, not to say it again, but the idea of Chet is just, the idea of Chet to me is so much better than J-Dub.
I understand that.
So the fact that he's staying on par, or I think offensively he's been better, is a trend up.
7-2 demigod. I understand. I get it. It's just it's a little, I don't want to call it inconsistent, but night to night it varies, which is a synonym for inconsistent.
Yeah, he just hasn't been like healthy. So
facts.
But I get what Riv is saying though, because like just watching Chet on the court, I know the numbers don't back it up thoroughly, but like I do feel like I've watched an improved player.
No, his eye test will always sing.
Like I think that from just watching him, I'm like, okay, I think I believe in his long-term upside a lot more than I do like J-Dub's. Like
That's
J-Dub,
why they're
I
my
think, has
duo.
upside.
The defense that Chet brings you is beautiful. I mean, his and also the spacing that he provides you at that size.
Yeah.
Is
Ideally, you
insane.
keep all
But
three
even
of these
offensively, especially in the Brooklyn game, I think this is where it flashed the most. The Lanas without SGA, since Chet has been back, they have been steady.
That's true.
And he has been manning those, and he's been a great connector for them. So that's where I feel like I can understand what you're saying about J-Dub. I don't know if like his stock fell, but I don't think it rose that much. Like if I put money into his stock last year, I'm kind of disappointed at how much has grown in a year.
Riv, and let me say to you, of your three guys that you had your stock down.
Well, to be fair, he's been less efficient. I had to double check to make sure I wasn't tweaking. He's been less efficient from everywhere on the floor this year as he was last year. So the numbers may look like what he's doing is still
I know
fine.
his 3-point percentages went down.
His 3-point percentage has dropped tremendously.
It went from 43 last year?
Well, from the
but that's
corner,
what
he
kinda
went
we
from
expected.
58 to 18.
43?
We expected at least 38% or more.
Okay, and since the
Drew.
post-All-Star break, he's at like 42,
Drew,
43.
this year, from the corner.
I think it's 44 actually post-All-Star
From the
break.
corner, he's 38%, 38%
That's good.
this year. Last year, he was at 58% and 42%.
But can we also understand that that's a bit unsustainable?
Yeah, what's the above the break three? Or
35 now. It was at 41 last year.
That's a difference, and I understand
That's
that.
a drop-off.
But again, the looks are different.
Rim, 70%. This year, 66%.
Still great.
4% drop off.
The
That's
paint.
without Chet, with Chet.
Paint, the non-restricted area. 48% to 44%. To go layups, just layups. Where is it at? I have it. Last year, he was 59%. This year...
Well, the allure with J-Dub last year was
53%.
like you're getting
Like,
a
he's just dropped as an
50-40
efficient
player
scorer.
that can handle and playmaking, can defend. And this year, he hasn't been like the 50-40 player. Well, literally the 40% from three. So I can understand how
it's
like
just
that is
the
dropping.
11
drives last year,
games.
51%.
No,
This year,
he was an
45.
elite finisher last year. It's with the 11 games that we've seen Chet, J-Dub has been the J-Dub of last year. So I'm not going to ignore that, where last year, Riv, I'm not going to say what you're saying is all wrong. Obviously, the numbers are down. But again, that's with Chet. And with Chet, we're seeing that version again.
But
I
last
think-
year, didn't we kind of think that J-Dub
Was supposed to be
might
number
have been just as good to like lead his own team?
I wasn't saying that over
I
Chet.
wasn't saying that either.
Like he had the potential to do that. Like
I actually
let's
was
say,
saying let's pump the brakes on him because people were trying to say he was better than JB.
like if you switch like J-Dub and Paolo's situation, like this was a conversation last year. It was like, could J-Dub do something similar?
yeah, that was rude.
I wasn't buying into that.
So like, but that was a conversation around J-Dub last year, and I think this year it's kind of like, well, he's not a first option, he's not a second option, he's more of a third option.
Yeah, and he'd be the best third option in the league.
Yeah.
Like
Last year, he
Almost
was
every
definitely
team.
getting
Yeah.
second option talks.
He was.
yeah,
he
I mean,
was
this
getting
is
second
a
Like
super
top
young
of-
player
top
that's
of the tier
putting out
second option
50-40
talks.
type efficiency on the best team in the West. Like I
yeah.
don't think it's crazy to put in that conversation.
I also
At the
think
time.
again some of the numbers that you listed there, are pretty unsustainable for a career.
Yeah, I mean, if he does that for his career, he'd be
Hall
the
of
best.
Famer.
He could be the best fucking Robin in the league.
Literally a Hall of Famer. Yeah. That's Hall of Fame efficiency.
It's not hard to be Hall of Fame, to be fair.
Well, no, it can't.
I mean, there's more guys not in the Hall of Fame than in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like a lot more.
Not that hard. He get about 6 All-Stars. He got one already.
Joe
About 2
Johnson.
NBAs. He can get in there, man.
So that's what I was going to say. Of your 3 stock down players, Scotty, you're cooking. You're one of that is an amazing answer, actually.
Yeah, that's something I'm not looking at. Like, I'm not looking at that stock at all.
No, I'm not.
I don't
I'm not.
touch it.
That's one of those that my money's been put in for years now. Oh damn, it's taking a dip.
I'm not pulling out.
I might consider buying the dip a little bit,
Okay.
but I'm leaving it. Alperen Sengun, that was kind of a little bit bigger brain. Like I think you took the huge leap with J-Dub.
I don't.
But with
the way he was
Sengun-
talked last year, I really don't.
I think
I
J-Dub's
don't
been
think
fine.
I don't think his stock's down. It's not up. To me, it's even.
I
And
think-
Sengun just went from not all-star to all-star. So if anything, his stock is up. It's just that who people thought he was coming into the season, maybe he got
But
overrated.
I also think
They aren't
for
a big fan of your investments.
I think for a young player, Riv, you could
no,
also cut
Scotty
him a little
Barnes
Of your
slack.
shorts.
Huh?
I think for a young player, you could also cut him a little slack. Like I know
mean-
you want to see improvement year over year, but not every year you're going to see just
Linear
incremental
and
improvement.
fast.
Well,
It's
stock
gonna-
market is really more for the young players. If you really think about it, like it's for the young players.
Would you not invest on J-Dub?
Nah, yeah, it's still an investment, but I'm looking like y'all gotta.
He's
like,
looking at it from last year to this
last year to this year. Last year, I don't know where y'all were at last year, but he was getting second.
He was
option,
getting.
top. I
Bro,
don't
we
know.
have a
He
would
was
you
getting
rather
top 20
of
talks.
you might. I don't know who took
I
J-Dub.
remember it. You guys did.
Oh, no.
Over Jalen Brown, over Brandon
He was getting
Ingram.
top 20
Y'all were getting
talks.
nasty.
So you don't think
I
J-Dub's
don't know
better
why
than
we
Brandon
forget
Ingram?
He's
that.
better than Brandon Ingram. He's not better than Jalen Brown. He
Yeah,
never
but
was.
we can't just forget that. That's what I'm saying. Like
Y'all were saying he was better than
getting top
Desmond
20
Bain. He
talks.
probably is better than Desmond Bain now.
Let's incriminate ourselves.
Because I remember,
Let's see what the
I'm
answers
pretty sure
were.
I was the one asking the question.
So, Riv, this is gonna solidify whether or not this was valid.
I feel like Dehls was speaking. That's why he's so
I
quiet right
think
now.
Dehls was chatting.
I think
I think
over
Dehls was
Jalen.
chatting.
If you
Okay.
took him over Jalen Brown, we're done.
Okay, let's go.
I understand but let's do a would you rather. Jalen Williams.
I was asking the
edition.
question. Memory
J-Dub,
stop.
for those that don't get confused. First name up, Jalen Brown.
I'm still going with Jalen Brown, but I understand the conversation. J-Dub is
Undab
23
me.
years old, elite
Nope.
both ways, and he's gotten a lot better offensively this year.
I'm gonna go J-Dub. I'm gonna
Oh
go
my
J-Dub.
God.
He's far more advanced.
We know
when
where I
Jalen
stand
Brown
with
was
it.
22
His
and
game is
J-Dub was
smoother.
22.
So you
And
overrate him. That's on us.
Well, he just said he
this is
understood the
also-
conversation.
This is also his stock report, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wait, but he just said I understood. So he understood what I was talking
No,
about.
and I said undab me.
Oh, so it wasn't over.
Okay,
he knew what I was saying.
let's keep watching. Let's keep watching.
There's
And
a lot
listen.
of room to grow.
Better handle.
I'm not seeing.
Like, you're
just think
so
Jalen
fucking
Brown. No, I do. I
superficial,
think
man.
Jalen Brown has improved tremendously,
Yes.
but I think J Dub is probably going to be better than him. So I'm gonna go J Dub.
I'm going Jalen Williams as well. He's one of the smoothest players in the league, man.
It's a clearing.
No, it's not a clearing.
Because a lot of people in my
think
comments
it's a
today were
clearing.
telling me it was a clearing.
I think no-
In
Told
your
you.
comments for telling
tried
you
to
because
tell
I
you.
said Jalen Brown's better. And
So
they were
I
saying
tried-
in my comments, they were trying to tell me that J-Dub is
Well,
better.
that's the conversation that J-Dub was in last year.
and it was
though.
stupid.
And I just told
But
you
this
that.
is
You
also
said it
this is
wasn't
also
there.
before Jalen Brown goes on a finals run. This
Yeah,
is
'cause
before
they
he
didn't
wins
see the
finals
vision.
Okay, let's keep
MVP.
going.
He's projecting.
Which
It's
is
not a clearing. Right now, Jalen Brown's a better player. I think Jalen Williams will be the better player. It won't take long for him to get there.
I'm going
take
to
long.
take Jalen Brown, but I understand your guys'
Not
logic.
take
Not
long.
shocking at all. Next name, Brandon Ingram.
Jalen Williams.
J Dub. Just once again, same thing with Jalen Brown. J Dub's more advanced at his age. I just think he'll be a better player than these guys.
All right, next name, Scotty Barnes. I'm going to take Scotty personally.
This was close. I don't think Scotty could be a number one.
So you're taking Scotty over
I don't
Jalen
know
Brown?
if J-Dub could be a number one.
That's what I'm thinking. But Scotty's
Not?
in the number one role right now, so it kind of looks
Yeah,
funny.
because like you got Siakam there, but SGA's taking on more than Siakam was.
But I think Jalen Williams could fit better into a number 2-3 role than Scotty.
I agree
that's
with that.
I think I'm going to go J Dub here.
I probably lean J-Dub.
I would lean J-Dub too.
All right, Tobias Harris.
Oh, we dropped to the fucking bottom of the
Tobias
bale,
been great.
too.
DeMar DeRozan.
J Dub.
Jalen
What the fuck are
Williams.
we doing?
I'm naming small forwards.
We need difficult.
He's 34.
This is the Desmond Bain.
Ooh.
Desmond Bain right now.
I would go J-Dub
That's
personally.
interesting.
Actually, nah.
Yeah,
Hold on.
because
be
if you
taking
take Jalen,
J-Dub.
if
Good
you
on
take
me.
Jalen Brown,
That's
you
true.
can't
That's
take
true.
Desmond Bain.
That's true. That's true.
I'll take
Y'all
J-Dub.
right. Y'all right. I'll take Jalen Williams.
Chris Middleton.
J-Dub.
It's not even a
Jalen
thought
Williams.
process. I'm not going to answer.
Keegan Murray.
J-Dub.
J Dub.
Jalen Williams.
All right, that's really it. But
These names, those names
I mean,
stunk.
Jalen Brown was really the only one that's
Towards
been
the end,
crazy.
yeah.
I wasn't trying to get too nuts.
No, but
a lot
like
of small fours. Then I'm thinking about it.
no, but not like the conversation around J-Dub. We don't gotta lie, bro. The conversation around J-Dub was crazy.
I know.
It was.
Yeah. So based off how he viewed it from last year to this year,
He was the one
It's
overrating
down.
him.
That's a fact.
not he wasn't the only person. There was a viral tweet that
Okay,
said
but
that
I
he
don't
was a top
care
20
about.
player.
Here's the thing. When I don't care about outside, when we're talking about us, when we're talking about us, All I care about is what he said.
But I'm sure Riv is putting together his thoughts and also what the public opinion was on J-Dub last year to this year.
But after this, again, I gotta open my mind. I can admit that. But I remember after the Dallas series being very vocal about J-Dub is the main reason why the Oklahoma City Thunder are not celebrating moving on to the next round. Jalen Williams failed to meet the mark that was his regular season level. And actually so much so to the point where he didn't even meet it, where he could just stay at that regular season level. No, he was a lot worse than that, and that's one of the main reasons they lost. And that we need to stop putting such an expectation on a year or two player. I remember saying that very vividly.
I mean, that could be true, but J-Dub, I mean, I feel like that was consensus opinion after the playoff performance because he wasn't exceptional in playoffs.
So agreed.
But in the regular season and what he was doing in the regular season.
So when you combine the two, it should be where we're at right now.
But we believe, at least, I don't know if you believe this, but we believe that J-Dub was more his regular season self. Like what he is more so what the regular season was versus the playoffs.
I think the regular season, again, like I'm saying right now, it was an amazing, uber efficient, unsustainable season.
Like I think where you're getting mixed up is that I don't think this is like Rivs having him as a stock down is not.
Do you think he's stock down?
I think
because you're defending it a lot.
I think I'm kind of more with Dehls where I think it's like evening out. Mm-hmm. But I could see what he's saying
because he made an all-star game.
The efficiency, yeah, but that was an all-star game that people criticize a lot. He wasn't the most deserving guy. Like
who should have made it over?
I think if
Kyrie Irving should have made it over him.
Who?
Kyrie Irving.
Oh, I'd be cool with that. I think if J-Dub was older, it'd be more concerning. Like, I think if J-Dub was entering, like, his age 27 season last year, and it's like, oh, shit, this is about to be prime J-Dub, he's taking a leap. And then age 28, it's like, oh, he's kind of doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. The fact that he's still so young.
Well, stock down don't mean I'm forever giving up.
So
on
I'm not saying that. I
just
think that I wouldn't classify him.
Wait, so this year,
down.
Dehls, can you hear the conversation with Jaylen Brown and J-Dub?
I think what Jaylen Brown showed in the playoffs last year, you can't.
So you can't. No. So, I mean, last year you could, and then this year you can't.
Yeah, but again, timing. Last year, we're coming off the Miami Heat series, and that's the last time we saw Jaylen Brown in the playoffs. This was before he goes on a ECF MVP run, a Finals MVP run. He locks up Luka Doncic. Like, a lot happened between that video and the NBA Finals.
It's a fact.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm sure, but I
that
feel
was more
like,
Jaylen Brown leveling up more than anything.
Yeah, but I think what his thing was that he expected J-Dub to take a lead.
If J-Dub was having a much better year this year, you would be able to do it because Jaylen Brown's having a down year.
J-Dub would still be doing the playoffs.
That's actually,
but I'm saying
that's
you would still
true,
have a better argument because now J-Dub is outplaying him.
JB having a down year and J-Dub not being in the conversation kind of does show that J-Dub hasn't taken a lead.
Okay, maybe he should be in the conversation. If Jaylen Brown continues to play the way he's playing this regular season, he's super inefficient. We know the defense is still going to be there, but offensively, he could struggle at times, and the ball handling maybe regresses. And J-Dub goes out there and is an efficient 20 per game, and they go to the finals. Yeah, like I think that's fine to still do. I just think right now, I still think Jaylen Brown can have a better postseason, at least shooting wise, than what he's shown this regular season.
And I'll give you a bigger sample size because 10 games is 10 games. In the 2025 year, he's still averaging 21 points a game, 5 and 5, 2 steals on 57% true shooting, 37% from 3, 48% from the field. Like that is still good. And that is a way bigger sample size than just the 10 games.
Well, in January, he shot 32% from the three-point line.
I gave you 30 games.
Well, yeah, I have it split up in 3 months.
I gave you 30 games.
Bigger data sets more,
Well, yeah, because
instead of the 10 games that he's overly dominant, I gave you even a month that he didn't shoot the best.
The fact that there was another month he didn't shoot the best.
The fact that he's shooting 37% from 3, but shot 32% in January.
Exactly.
I mean,
but I don't think that it's that he's not good. We know he's good. It's just that we thought he'd be a little bit better.
I think 30, again, 44%.
I mean, I'll put it like this. He has 3 months where he shot below 35% from the three-point line. And then he has 2 months where he shot 40, which is this month included. Mm-hmm. And then he has 1 month where he shot above average. So he's literally been, from the three-point line we're just talking about right now, an up-and-down player, where it's a month where he's shooting like shit, another month. So he's a hot and cold type of player.
I feel like it's very fair to say that this year, the non-SGA minutes with J-Dub on the court leading the lineup have been very disappointing.
I mean, but recently, J-Dub's been incredible.
When Chet has come back.
But I just gave you 30 games.
He's the second guy.
But I just gave you 30 games.
But I'm saying with Chet out, when J-Dub was leading those lineups, they were very disappointing.
I mean, to be fair, J-Dub, like, we're counting on this dude who's like 23 to be the second or arguably third best player. Your best player's out.
Well, it's not even that. We're just counting on him to not have.
I'll be honest with you. OKC is the number 1 seed in the West.
They are.
And he's a big part of that too.
I agree.
Yeah.
But like when you I don't know, you're saying that and it's funny to me because you should know better than anybody. Even if you are young, when you get this amount of success this fast, it's not just he's this young.
But I'm not expecting when SGA's out the lineup. I'm not expecting J-Dub to go out there and lead a top 10 unit. Like I'm expecting them to struggle.
That's not the argument. The argument is not where the argument is not we're not expecting him to lead a top 10 unit. The argument is that when he's been out there before Chet's return, they were negative in point differential.
I would expect that team to struggle with SGA off the court when it's J-Dub and Caruso. Like I would expect that team to struggle offensively.
When it's J-Dub, Hartenstein, Caruso, and Aaron Wiggins and Isaiah
Jones.
A little bit,
for a good part of the season, struggled to shoot. He figured it out recently.
Well, with those same lineups, SGA is like a plus 28.
SGA's maybe the best in the world this year.
I think the point is that we expect OKC not to lose those minutes.
And we're also forgetting this is year 3. Tier 3.
I think the offense was strong because you have shooting for sure, you have spacing for sure, but you just don't got much playmaking. You don't got a lot of guys that are putting the ball in the court and pressuring the rim. You know what I mean?
So I think this is really where Riv's whole point is coming from, though.
Can you let Riv argue it?
But I feel like you're just being hard-headed right now.
No,
yes,
I'm
you
not.
Are. Is he not being hard-headed?
I admitted that there were points where maybe I was.
Riv, is this not your whole point, though? Last year, the potential for J-Dub you thought was higher than it is at this point in time. Yeah. That's all. That's why his stock is down. He's not saying this.
But if you encapsulate both the regular season and the postseason with what he's done, that I feel like it gets you to the result of no, he should be the player that he's been for a majority of this season.
I do think Riv was bold mentioning 3 all-star players.
Okay,
I wouldn't have had them, but I could see how. Well, Şengün, Scotty, and J-Dub, they're all 3 all-stars.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty made an all-star game.
Legitimately made an all-star.
Because all-star games don't mean shit. In the grand scheme of things,
I think in the NBA they do.
Like, I really don't think so. Like, Şengün made the All-Star game.
Şengün made it over Sabonis.
Like, realistically, him and Sabonis, I think Sabonis had a better case, but Şengün was on a better team. So I get that. Like,
so you understand? So Şengün, you said that was like a big brain take from like Riv. Like, so you can see the logic with Şengün's stock being down.
No. It surprised me. I didn't have Şengün as a stock down. He went from a guy on a team that was fringe playing to being an all-star. His stock is up. But I say big brain because, again, when you think about how people came into the season... Because you called him overrated. Exactly.
So, I mean, to that, you could like say that maybe
But I'm not saying his stock is down.
Yeah, because I just feel like what Riv is saying is ultimately like, number one, he's lower on Şengün as a player and on Scotty. But I think with the J-Dub thing is that the potential that we thought he had last year versus this year, I think those things have changed.
I think
they've changed, and I think
that point makes sense.
I think Chet has cleared. Like last year, it was like, is Chet the second option? Is J-Dub the second option? You were kind of weighing those 2 options. This year, it's kind of like, oh no, it's clearly Chet moving forward.
Hearing you on that point. Agreed. But again, I think that you're going based off the regular season, and if you're going off the regular season, everything you guys are saying is diamond. It is so set in stone. I want to finish.
Bad in the playoffs.
I just want to finish. He was not good.
What
he was in the regular season to the playoffs, which is we're being consistent now because off last regular season to this regular season, that's what you're saying he's dropped off at. If you look at last regular season to last postseason, especially that Dallas series, because he played well in the Pelican series, especially that Dallas series, you're left with the idea that, okay, we put a little bit too much pressure onto him.
So use numbers to argue why like J-Dub is like great as of recently. So in the playoffs, J-Dub averaged 18.7 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, 5.4 assists. He shot 46.9% from the field and 38.5 from 3. Mm-hmm. Is that not like the numbers that he's like less efficient this year than he was in the playoffs?
It's just like
it's about the same
for me personally, bro.
So if that's disappointing,
and that's the Pelicans. And that's compared to what he was in the regular season, which is what I'm saying. I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, but compared right now, what he's doing compared to what he was in the regular season last year,
I'm not disappointed.
is disappointing.
I'm not disappointed.
I'm also seeing the Thunder as a +4 when J-Dub is on, SJ is off.
Yeah, as of recently, that's changed. As of recently, the SGA
This is regular season.
lineups
This
have been
is
better.
regular season, period. This is not.
No, I know, but that's
segmenting.
what I'm saying. As of recently, that number has been positive.
J-Dub's
for
been
OKC.
really great this year for a year 3 player.
I don't know. I think if you drop off from not like an insane amount, but if I don't see improvement in your game, then
They're
You
minus.
could argue you got better
They're
on the defensive
-2.
side.
SJ, Chet's off.
Yeah.
J-Dub's on. They're
I think
-2.
I think he's always been great
think you live with
defensively.
that.
I think they're now starting
Two of your
to
three
utilize
players
him
are
more,
off?
like in other ways. But I think if you drop off in the efficiency department from everywhere, like I'm looking at you different. Especially when at certain points of the lineup, I can see like in certain big games, I can see him shrivel up. In certain times where SGA is off the floor, J-Dub is on the court. You still, I get it, he's year 3, but you still want to see marginal improvement from him on the court, SGA off the floor. So like for me, it's just really like I don't give a fuck about that all-star stuff. It's from last year to this year as a player. Have you come in and there's a gap from you last year, you this year?
And this is
I don't
clearly
think
fluid. So like if J-Dub has a great playoffs,
stock is back up.
yeah. So yeah.
But there's no I don't think there's no evidence to give you that he's gonna have a great playoffs this year. Like he probably is gonna be solid.
no, there's not. But
They're
you know,
really-
last year we didn't think he'd be worse than he was in the regular season. We thought he probably like
Yeah,
live up
like
to
if
the
you
moment.
watched the playoffs last year, like Drew, you watched the playoffs last year, right?
Yes.
And now you've watched this regular season. I don't think you're
100%.
sitting there saying, "Oh, he can't have another bad series." Like he's changed drastically from that.
I agree with you.
So that's for me. That's like for me. It feels like, damn. Well, I can see the sentiment of you're in the middle ground because you haven't seen much, but you haven't seen an insane drop off, and I haven't seen an insane drop off, but I've seen less of last year as opposed to more.
Yeah, because you know, I wouldn't have him as a stock down, but offensively, I am left a little bit disappointed that he hasn't taken a bigger leap. Like Dehls just mentioned the lineups when SG and Chet aren't on the court. OKC is -2. That is mostly due to their defense just always being elite.
They have a 109 offensive rating.
Yeah, their offensive rating is like one of the worst in the
defense is
league.
sturdy, though.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like J-Dub. Listen, OKC has depth. They are deep. So even if they're off the court, J-Dub is with Wiggins and Isaiah Joe. Sometimes Hartenstein.
They got good players.
He's with like good players. So the offense being that poor,
But just the
to
offensive
me-
players,
Yeah.
they could shoot.
I know what
you know
you're
what I
saying.
mean? Like there's
but J-Dub's
not-
supposed to be that creator for those lineups.
Yeah, but he's not a 1A creator.
He's not.
But
and we know that.
But he
He
can't
don't need to be a 1A
We
creator.
talking about him creating against.
no, I think he
backups.
means 1B. I think that's what he means.
Well, I'm just
I don't
saying
think
when
he needs to be a 1B
J-Dub's on
creator.
the court by himself, there's no
Correct.
shot.
I understand.
Bro, when Derek White is on the court without Jason Tatum, they create.
But that's-
Jalen Brown's out there, too.
I also think that Derek White is more
What
of a
about when
point
JB
guard.
ain't play against the Blazers?
Or you're saying create?
Also
Excuse me. Not,
They
not
both
create.
they
That's on me.
both scored 40.
I don't think he needs to be a 1B,
Peyton-
1A
Peyton
creator
and
for a
D-White.
regular season. You just need to be a 2-3 creator. We've seen lower tier creators been able to do it.
Yeah, and I
Like,
think with J-Dub, it's like it's not that we want him to be the best player on the team. It's that when SJ is on the bench, and let's say Chet's on the bench too, and you have to lift up an offensive lineup, you're not facing the starting five. You're facing like a mixture of maybe a starter or two and backups. Can you play make for your team? And this year, that's been disappointing when I've watched
I hear
J-Dub.
what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but that's going to do it for this episode of the Pick a Side podcast, episode 466. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.